Chapter 51, To the Human City. Translator's Corner, cast an English clown, a French Pierrot, and a doctor. Doctor, so we got the results of your recent MRI. I'm pleased to say that we found no abnormalities. Clown, doctor. How do you tell a difference between an oral thermometer and a rectal one? Doctor, Oh, well, the simplest method would be. Clown, by the taste. Doctor. Were you listening to what I was saying before? Clown, about what? Doctor, your recovery from that accident. Could I ask you a few questions? Clown, how many is a few? Doctor, a 3 or 4, maybe. Have you been feeling stressed lately? Pierrot, no. I didn't give you my permission to ask questions. Doctor, oh, I apologize. May I ask a question? Pierrot, that is in itself a question. But fine, go ahead. Doctor, so, are you feeling okay? Clown, yes, absolutely. No problems at all. Doctor, have you been able to remember anything since before the accident? Clown, what? Doctor, you haven't forgotten about it, have you? Pierrot, doctor, I'm getting a headache listening to you. Can we leave now? Doctor, we? Clown, oh, since we're leaving now, let me tell you one more joke. Did you know? A doctor is the only man who can tell a woman to take off all her clothes and then send a bill to her husband. Life in the royal capital. 051. To the human city. 2 weeks have passed since we let Yumu's group in. The highway plan is continuing smoothly. Contrary to what you'd think, the frontier garrison members are rather hard-working. They've also gotten very friendly with the hobgoblin guardians. The city's monsters are dutifully upholding the rules, and are unexpectedly friendly towards the humans. I was expecting the guardians and the garrison to look down on each other due to monster-human animosity and all, but I guess I was wrong. Probably, since they used to be ruffians and hooligans, they are trying to change. As for Yumu, he might be the kind of person who attracts people. He has an aura of charisma about him. So even dividing up the responsibilities he was handed was quite smooth, whether or not his desire to cooperate with us affected his efficiency. We have goblin riders on guard and lookout duty around the city, but there's simply too many of them. Therefore, we decided to have 10 riders support the frontier garrison when they answered distress calls. For the humans, that assistance was something they wouldn't even dare to ask for, so they happily accepted. However, they insisted to return to the favor, so they decided to teach us formation tactics, sword skills, and other professions they knew. Among those was a rather popular survival skills that were bound to increase our food variety. While it wouldn't lead to abundance, it is something we can be grateful for. Thus our relationship kept improving. And once we more or less came to trust each other, the garrison had a proposal, no, a favor to ask. They asked whether we could maintain their equipment. It seems the fact that our equipment is far superior to theirs has been bothering them. In the first place, it's plain cheating for monsters to use high-level equipment. One of their members said, speaking on behalf of the entire group. Frankly, I agree. Since getting the dwarf's technological assistance, we've been able to create equipment far above what I would consider ideal. Phew, fun. Well, hey. Dwarf armor is the best in the world. Kaijin merrily replied. No, that being so, why is even Master Garm in this city? That I find strange. Cabal also expressed disbelief. The elite among the dwarfs, Garm. Kaijin is also a master of his craft, and we also have the expert Kurobi. Our city's smithy would easily match that of any capital city. Moreover, we have Gable bringing raw materials from the cave once in a while, so we have an abundance of high-ranking ingredients. If people learned of this, there would bound to be plenty of buyers. However, we don't plan to sell any. There are still hobgoblins without a complete set of equipment. Our numbers are so large that we are having hard time meeting demand. Even with Kurobi's copy skill, the one he got from researcher, it takes a while to finish an item since it's not accelerated by great sage like mine. It's certainly faster than if making the item by hand, but he's still just a single person. Thus, He's been employing artisan wannabes from among the young men and women to become his disciples, and has been producing all items at the factories for them to see. Perhaps one of these young ones may become a true artisan someday. So, considering the possibility of future experts, Kurobe's current actions are for the best in the long term. Whatever, it's fine, your request. Ask me to look at your equipment anytime I'm free. Kaijin lightly accepted. He's probably planning on using them to have his students practice. He might look like a big softy, but he's actually an extremely prudent old man. As expected of Kaijin-san. Look at him talk. Oi, you sure? In that case, look at mine too. He was surrounded in other similar joyous shouts. I guess I should feel relieved at his kindness. Dosu, Zusha, Boko, Bokan. That was the sound that accompanied our fall. By our fall I mean mine, Benamaru's, Sui's, Enshin's. Wahahaha. You suck, you suck, you suck, you suck. Our opponent exclaimed while laughing loudly. Who? Demon Lord Milim, of course. We had a mock battle with her, 4 versus 1, but that didn't go over well. And she's even using her dragon knuckles. She always wears them. Once at mealtime I made her take them off, causing her to sulk the rest of the day. I shouldn't have? No, that was clearly a breach of etiquette. I'm glad I had her wear them this time. She should always wear them during practice. But that doesn't apply to mealtime. As if receiving a lesson, I spar daily with Milim. But she's so strong, to the point that it's funny. That dueling her is out of the question. So, we decided on this 4 versus 1. Ridiculous power. A cheat-like ability. Bottomless stamina. I'm glad we're not enemies. We also had Hakura spar with her once. Unfortunately, not even his attacks reach her. However, he can put up a fight, which is impressive in itself. The overwhelming power I felt from the Dwarf King, and the overwhelming power from Milim. The difference between them is far too great. That much I understood after being beaten down in succession here. Had I, during the match with the Dwarf King, used Great Sage Battle Mode, there's a chance I could have won. But that kind of thing is meaningless before Milim. It's not a match of skill or trick. There's various kinds of strength, Thus thrice a day. As a result, we've all gotten much stronger compared to 2 weeks ago. Hakura observes the matches. He's perfected his skills, so he won't benefit much from these. As for us, our skills were so lacking, that we managed to improve greatly these past 2 weeks. You've gotten pretty good. If Rimura decided to become a demon lord now, I would be totally for it. Milim happily exclaimed. I am not planning on becoming a demon lord. Besides, we didn't even last 20 minutes today. Complete failures. Even if I called myself a demon lord, I wouldn't live long enough to see it recorded. Benimaru, Sui, and Shin returned to practice after getting instructions from Hakura. What a lively bunch they are. While watching them spar. By the way, Milim, why did you become a demon lord? I suddenly got curious and asked. Yeah, about that, what was the reason again? There was a bunch of said things and messed up things, right? Why are you asking me? No reason. Can't remember it well. It's been too long ago, I forgot. Milim looked as if she didn't want to remember the grief and horror. I see. Well, if you forgot, there's no need to remember. Though she looks like a child, she is an ancient demon lord. From what I heard, the youngest of demon lords is at least 200 years old. That would be my enemy Leon Cromwell. My prey. There are other young demon lords, they are around 500 years old and have experienced the Great War. Milim belongs to the old generation. In other words, she's been living for an insane amount of time. Chances are, she doesn't have many friends. She's been living for so long that she must have lost many good friends by now. Hey, do you have family or someone who worries about you? Is it okay to stay here without letting anyone know? Suddenly growing worried, I asked her. When I did. I forgot. Right. I'll be right back. Though this might take a while. But, I'll be gone for 2-3 years at the longest. I'll be back. She suddenly exclaimed. What? So suddenly? Hey. Right now. Yeah. Well, it's not like we won't meet again. So I'm off. She said, and immediately changed into her gothic dress. That's with the dress change magic, a very useful skill. I would have asked her to teach me, but I can do that naturally myself, so there's no need. It's usually recommended to people with lots of equipment. Though you have to learn spatial magic before this one, and it is far harder to learn. After she finished changing, she looked at me with a smile. Well, be right back. She flew off after saying just a few words. And without making a sound she flew away at a speed faster than the speed of sound. She left as suddenly as she had arrived. Has Milim-sama gone off somewhere? Shin asked. Yeah. She had remembered some unfinished business. She'll be back in 2-3 years at the latest, she said. 2-3 years? How easily she went on such an arduous journey, and for such a long time, no. But, to someone with her lifespan, surely it's but 2-3 days. I guess it is. Maybe she's gone off to show off her clothing and dragon knuckles to her friends. Shin muttered that last line much to the approval of the other ONI. That just might be the case. If she went showing off her gifts to her friends around the world, she might just need 2-3 years for that. Though our imagination was probably just running wild imagining such a scene, we somehow became convinced that she is in fact out boasting to friends. Solemn expressions don't suit Milim. And now that she's gone, I'm feeling kind of lonely. We've gotten that close during these 2 measly weeks. What a strange demon lord she is. But there's no time to feel sorry for ourselves. Her departure is also a chance. We must go to a human village right now. After checking it out, if there are no problems, I'll take Milim there next time. Previewing content is important before a public release. The 3 idiots were planning to stay for 2 weeks, secretly gathering monster body parts. They are using it to fulfill a subjugation request, aren't they? But are they allowed to cheat like that? Well, it's not really my problem, but I'll have them buy my silence by guiding me to a human city. And so, you're showing the way. I said in response to their troubled expressions. We understand, Dana. We shall lead the way. Should we also stop by the royal capital on the way? I know how to get around the back alleys, you know. They accepted. I'll leave it to them. I decided to leave in 2 days. When I had gone to notify Rigurdo of the fact, I found out that he had already prepared the bags for departure. How diligent. And after using the magic circle to get to the cave, I had Gable show me to our medium-grade medicine stash. Oh, Rimuru-sama. We have been waiting. My, Rimuru-dano. I am ecstatic that you let me work in such a wonderful environment. While on our way there we ran into Bester's laboratory. Unlike Kaijin who has to supervise lots of people, Bester can devote himself wholeheartedly to research. So this must feel like heaven to him. You are eating properly, right? Not forgetting to sleep? I asked, worried. Of course. While the meals are not very diverse, they are very delicious. So I never miss a meal. As for sleep, I am frugal with it, but had a bed prepared here. Besides, it's good for your body not to sleep for a while. No, it's not. I thought, but he's doing what he really likes. So I decided to leave him with a, don't overdo it, line. Oh, by the way, between Kurobe copying them and being produced here, which is more efficient? I asked. We are getting faster here. Once we get more workers and proper equipment, we'll be able to continue production without relying on Kurobe Dano. Is what he said. Since it takes some time to grow hippoced grass, we don't need production speed to increase too much. In that case, should I have 5 people or so come as lab members? I need to teach them the basics too, so I'd like about 10. Since I want to be rearing successors as well, you see. Current production speed is 3 hours to dilute 1 pill. Kurobe can manage the same in a single hour. I can make one immediately, but I refrain from doing so. They need to be able to make it without my involvement. Thus, they'll be able to manage without me in emergency situations. However, they do currently focus on diluting my restorative pills to create 20 medium-grade pills. Doing so, using membrane creation, is Bester's job. Along that would be very difficult, so he has Gable's men help him. After evolving into Dragonewts they learned to use some simple magic, it seems. If 3 people other than Bester learn to use it, the speed triples. Working on a single pill every hour. In other words, they'll be able to create 20 medium-grade ones. So in a single 8-hour working day, they'll add 160 pills to our stock. An excellent production line we've made here. If they fail at growing more, they'll be stuck with other chores while Bester will continue his research. Which makes sense. Approving of their plans, I left to let Rigurdo know. Until now Bester has been working without sleep, producing more than 80 pieces a day. Probably preparing the city for the future. Taking 500 pieces from our stash, I deposited them into my stomach. These I plan to sell in Human City and purchase some magic stones. We'll figure out the price with Kaijin later. Well then, continue as you have. As for Bester Dono, please do not overexert yourself. Please leave it to me. I will work myself to the bone for you. I'll leave the matter about 10 people to you. They saw me off. Afterwards, I went to see Kaijin to decide the lowest price we'd sell these at. Low-quality medicine is called potions here and sells for about 3 silver coins apiece. Which is actually pretty high. It's not hard to imagine one's earnings for the day being spent on medicine. However, this medicine can treat 20% of most injuries and even grave ones. In comparison, restorative magic such as heal will only restore 10% of injuries and hard to use in emergency situations. So our medicine is twice as effective. High-grade medicine can restore 50%, but I digress. What should we set the price at? Listen, Dana. Don't set the price twice as high. Sell no lower than 15 silver coins apiece. This isn't something a beginner would buy. It's meant for B rank and above adventurers. It's alright to raise the price even more. Aim to sell at about 20 silvers. Kaijin fervently explained. As he says. This medicine is very useful, so we'd be in trouble if we set the price too low and get too large of an order. If we don't make a profit we can't buy magic stones. So aiming for 20 silvers apiece is smart. Perhaps I should also sell 1 or 2 of my personal pills. After I acknowledged his words, we ended the meeting. And thus finished our preparations. The next day, I met up with the 3 idiots. After finishing their preparations, the trio was waiting for me. If we take the highway we'll run straight into Pharma's kingdom. The Count's domain that Yumu has spoken so much about. And that would mean meeting the greedy Count, so no thanks. So, we'll be walking through the forest. We are aiming for the small country Bremen. To meet with Freedom Association's guild master and decide on a course of action. A year has passed since I was reincarnated into this world. And I am finally heading towards a human city. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 52, Journey. Editor's Corner, Cast, Yuuka, Smoggy and the Psychiatrist. Yuuka enters Psychiatrist's office. Yuuka, good afternoon. Psychiatrist, good afternoon, now take a sit. Shuffling of papers. Do you know why you're here today? Yuuka, I was told that everyone had to go for a checkup before we're deemed safe to work. Don't worry doc, I'm perfectly sane. Psychiatrist, I'm sure you are, but I'll still need to ask you some questions, it's protocol, nothing I can do about it. Yuuka, ask away doc. Psychiatrist, okay, first question, you see a crying child alone, what do you do? Yuuka, eat him. Psychiatrist. Ahem, okay, second question, who is your role model, or rather, senpai as you people call them? Yuuka, Demolition D and senpai. Psychiatrist, I need to get out of here, okay, final question, who or what inspires you? Yuuka, I look to Filthy Frank for inspiration. Psychiatrist, runs for the door and shouts evacuate the building now. Yuuka, hey wait. I need you to approve that I'm mentally sane before I can work chases after doc. Psychiatrist, get away from me, you are nowhere near sane. Yuka, Master Spark. Yuka, phew, now that I am deemed as mentally stable, I better go find that bear. Following day's news headlines: terrorist attack on psychiatric clinic. Is the government responsible? Smoggy, my, that's terrible. Weren't you there yesterday? Yuka, no idea. Life in the royal capital. Chapter 52, Journey. Ed note, there are some parts that even I don't understand myself, forgive me for any errors. The devil Myolin was relieved to finally be able to report. She had left her best friend and the violent demon lord Milim behind in the city which they were to monitor, but this was something completely outside of her expectations. It surprised her that a weak little slime is the head of the city. Furthermore, Milim's behavior was also something she couldn't understand. The way a demon lord thinks is something an ordinary person will never understand. Rather, isn't that particular demon lord a little, no, relatively eccentric? On a cultural level, it seems the demon lord has made friends in the city they were monitoring. What's more, the fact that the head of the town is a slime who can take on the form of a masked person was also being reported. Just to be safe, the fact that Milim was staying in the city was not reported. I don't think she'll do anything that will violate the agreement between the demon lords. But, considering the fact I can't understand what Milim is thinking, I must be very cautious. We definitely cannot use magic in front of Milim. I judged that communication magic or magic in general, will instantly be detected by Milim. If she doesn't know my identity, there is a chance that she might not make a move. These are the types of things you report. I see, I can use this. Good work, please continue to monitor them. Clayman said this happily, seemingly having come up with something. But this has nothing to do with Myolin. As the garrison's shaman, she is serving as an officer. Stupid humans. I'm a devil, and yet they don't suspect a thing. Although she looked down on them, talking to them for some time stirred up strange emotions in her heart. I'll let it be for the time being. I wish to enjoy these moments for a little longer. She made such a wish subconsciously. Thus, she went back to work without being too concerned. The demon Grusius, now a member of the frontier garrison, followed his platoon as they advanced into the forest. For a beastman such as he, horse riding was mere child's play. As such, he naturally stood out in the team. Even when he held back his true abilities, he couldn't possibly be inferior to humans. Therefore, he was offered the role of vice captain for one of the 3 platoons. However, he refused, stating that a newcomer should not hold such a position even after the platoon commander insisted. Even though he drew some attention to himself, as long as he maintained his current situation, everything will be fine. That's what he believed. However, what he is currently interested in is the group of goblin wolf riders that followed them. The strangely evolved star wolves and their riders, the hobgoblins. As if they were a skilled team, even their breathing is synchronized. This suggests a high level of proficiency. Above all, the one known as Gobuta was the best amongst the hobgoblins. Based on his intuition, the best course of action is to kill him on sight. Grusius curled his tongue. Originally, he was only planning to invite the ONI, but in this situation it's very likely there are many other talented individuals. There are a total of 100 goblin wolf riders, and every one of them have talents I want by all means. Amongst them are Captain Ragur and Vice Captain Gobuta. These two have an overwhelming presence over the others. There are also others, like the Dragonutes I see time to time. They will also become good warriors with some training. The Orc Pioneers, they aren't much on their own, but truly shine when together in a group. I heard they were led by an Orc lord called Gerudo, but I haven't seen him around the city. I heard he's always out transporting goods, but he's most likely a powerful individual. What do you know, I'll be darned. This city is crazy. If I make a move, all this war potential will be ours. In fact, when I look a closer look at the ONI, they're either my equal or even above me. Even though he is the weakest amongst the servants of the Beast King, this is still clearly something abnormal. Well, it's fine, isn't it? It's more fun this way. Having strong comrades is something good. Even if we failed, having powerful enemies is also desirable. That much is true. We, the Beastmen, are a race that thrives in battle. Strong enemies are something that we welcomed. Thus, while pondering about how he should invite them, he continued with his frontier garrison duties. Yahoo, nice. I am very satisfied with the feeling of spaciousness after such a long time. When I was in the city, I had to pay attention to what I say, my mind feels like it's about to burst. Thus, I left all the problems in the city to the 2ONI. But, Benimaru said this himself. Please leave everything regarding the city with us 2ONI, we'll be able to accomplish anything. That's what he said. I'm sure he'll manage somehow. Ranga has been on guard the whole time, but no signs of movements were spotted. Now it's Sui's turn to take over guard duty _. He who doesn't sleep, Sui. By creating clones, he can get some sleep in shifts. Even though it's certainly a useful ability, I don't want to tell him that he must sleep. From the looks of things, no one's showing their true colors. To me, even though they don't seem to be related to Milim, they may be acquaintances. Because this cannot be handled carelessly, we must monitor them carefully. Unfortunately, they don't seem to have made a move at all. If that's the case, then all we can do is to continue to be vigilant. Since I can immediately return to the city with Shadow Step, I decided to leave the city for a little while. Or rather, I speculate that as soon as I'm gone, they're going to start making their move. Milim has also just left, so they must make their move now. I was on alert whilst thinking about this, but after first day I went out of town nothing happened whatsoever. After 3 days had passed, I'm starting to think that I may be overly worked up about things. They also seem to be fairly strong. Leave it to me. And because he said that I entrusted him to lead the way. After hearing that, I am now enjoying the spacious feeling after such a long time. I'm taking this route because roads haven't been developed yet. After getting off the streets, I followed the animal trail. Is this really all right? If that's not enough, we advanced through a variety of different routes. However, there's a veteran here, so I left it to him. Even though he has a tearful face, let's believe in him. Besides, it's not like this is the first time he has come by here. One moment later. Oi, we're not actually lost, are we? I said that as a joke. Ha ha ha. There's no way we would have gotten lost here. His wording has become strange, everything is fine, right? Referring to the map in my mind, it seems we walked by here just now. I must be imagining things. Oi. This is no joke. You're lost, aren't you? The three looked at each other. We're very sorry. And they apologized. Anyway, it seems that they have gotten lost trying to take a shortcut. Are these guys really professionals? Well, whatever. I guided them back onto the road, the one they are familiar with. We passed by a field of illusion flowers in full bloom, that might be the cause of us getting lost. I didn't tell them though. How could we have gotten lost in such a place? I may have lost a little self-confidence. I am overwhelmed. If you professionals paid more respect to the road and followed it, then maybe we would not have been lost. They looked a little pitiful, so I told them about the illusion flowers. That's a B-rank harvesting mission objective, it's pretty difficult, yeah no. Ellen proclaimed enthusiastically. In addition to being material for magic items, it's also quite a rare flower. After a lot of trouble, we returned to pick some. We managed to pick 40, and divided it up to 10 per person. Perhaps, I can understand its uses by storing it in my stomach to analyze. About a week's worth of time has passed, and we finally arrived at the exit of the forest. Certainly, but I wonder how much less time would be wasted if I took out the number of days we spent being lost. Well, there's no need for me to rush for this journey. Rather, long trips are much more fun. Well, a slime's body can't get tired anyway, but I'll need to remain clean, so I asked Ellen to use cleaning magic. Because Ellen used cleaning magic, I learned it. When I tried using it, my magic amplified the effects of the spell, cleaning everyone in the process. Thanks to that, the journey was more pleasant than usual. Starting a fire was easy, and I stayed up all night as the night watch. Rimuru-san. Let's adventure together forever. Ellen exclaimed this emotionally, but as usual, I declined. If this was before I met anyone, that would have been a good idea, but I'm the head of a city now. I can leave the governing to the others, but I can't leave it uncared for. Anyways, if someday my presence isn't needed anymore, I'll think about the offer then. A thought suddenly crossed my mind. Even if I accepted, this will depend on whether or not she's still alive by that time. I wonder, is this how Milim feels? To make an important friend, only to outlive them, would I choose loneliness instead? I don't know. The current me doesn't have enough experience to determine that. I shook my sadness away, and we went towards the roads. Our destination is the small country of Bremen. This particular country is so small that all the nobles are feudal lords of villages. It's really just a country which comprises of its royal capital. I was being led by the trio to the city which housed Bremen's Freedom Association branch. However, the capital is the only large city, and in the castle town lies the Bremen's Freedom Association branch. We have arrived in the first village earlier than expected, and the carriage left as scheduled. We arrived at noon, and ate lunch at a restaurant. Seems like the traffic is not congested, as it is a small country, which is always nice. Hear me, I am the mighty axe, Warg, and with a single swing, I killed this fellow. Wow, as expected of Bido-san. Big brother Bido, this is a strong monster, isn't it? You mean you killed it by yourself? More or less, a single horned bear is no match for me. When we heard the conversation, we took a peek at the horned bear they were talking about. The main subject of the story, the horned bear, made me almost spit out all the food in my mouth when I saw it. It was only the horn of a horned rabbit embedded into the forehead of the bear, laid on the floor as if it was a monster's corpse. The bear is not a monster, but rather, is classified as an animal, but it's hard to tell the difference. Fortunately I have my analyze ability. Without it, I wouldn't have been able to tell the difference. A clear way to tell the difference is whether a magic stone drops or not. Even so, for an ordinary person that's simply just cruel because it's so rare. Even if it didn't drop a magic stone due to it being an animal, who knows how many of them animals would have been killed before people realize that they are animals, not monsters. Well, even though demonic energy seeps from monsters, it'll still be rather difficult to judge. In the end, due to the high level of my skill, I am able came up with this conclusion. Oi, the guys in that corner are all proud about that fake horned bear, aren't they, just like ants? Huh? A fake? You saw through the trick? Of course. It's the horn of a horned rabbit, welded on with magic. As expected, you saw through it. No, Dana. That person's purpose is not to flaunt. If they took this over to the king, they may become this village's hero. They're doing this not to protect the village, but rather to fill their bellies and live in fancy inns. I see. I understand the guild member's explanation. In short, they're scammers. The world has so many different kinds of scammers that it has become a profession. I was planning to leave after exposing them. Oi, wait a moment. You just accused me of being a fake. Making a fool out of me. I hope you're prepared for the consequences. I wonder, why do all the dumb ones have such good hearing? Furthermore, they even decided to pick a fight when I still idling. You people even believed in such a fraud. Heh, isn't that Cabal-san? Ellen-san's also here. Isn't that person over there, Giddo? After hearing these words, people flooded the dining room immediately. What's this? You three are terrible. You should have given me a shout out if you came back. Who are you? Have we met before? Oh come on, I may look all run down and tattered now, but it's me, Bido. I was receiving guidance from you in the capital after picking a fight. It's me, Bido. Well, that was unexpected. This group of 3 idiots are unexpectedly famous. They seem acquainted with the fraud to a certain degree, but the other people seem to respect the 3. It's rather strange that they don't seem all that happy even though they're being respected. But, the biggest surprise to me was the fact these 3 are actually famous adventurers. They are mainly famous for their sudden rise in prominence recently. Even so, it's because they have brought along monsters from my town with them during missions, that's why they were able to perform so significantly well. I looked at the 3, and they looked away in a panic. I'll not press them on this matter. That's probably something they don't want to mention to the people here. Even so, even if I don't touch the matter, it's still there. Do you get it now? Of course. We'll guide you to the capital. Every step of the way. Then it's all good. The trip ended smoothly even after such a thing happened. Thus, we arrived at the royal capital of the small country of Bremen. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 53, Freedom Association. Translator's Corner, Cast, an English clown and a French Pierrot. Clown, Pierrot, wait a second. Pierrot, what? We've got things to do, people to entertain, books to translate. Clown, the doctor mentioned something about an accident, what do you think it was? Pierrot, remember how we were playing with a frisbee last week? Clown, oh yeah, I wondered why the frisbee was getting bigger, and then it hit me. Pierrot, he must have been talking about that head injury. Not the other one. Clown, other one? Pierrot, the one where someone tried to kill you? You told me a bit about it, remember? Clown. What did I say? Where was this? Pierrot, you seriously forgot? We were sharing a hospital room, both of us got hit by a car, it seemed. Clown, and? Pierrot, you told me a joke, the 7-year-old girl told her mom, a boy in my class asked me to play doctor. Oh, dear, the mother nervously sighed. What happened, honey? Nothing, he made me wait 45 minutes and then double-billed the insurance company. Clown, not about that. About the accident. Pierrot, I don't remember. Please read, I have decided to translate Freedom Association as Free Guild from now on. Just kidding, next chapter made the name sound strange. Life in the Royal Capital. 053. Freedom Association. We proceeded into Bremen's royal capital. The city appears old but sturdy. The pedestrians appeared bright and cheerful with no gloominess in sight. Probably due to the fact that there is no visible damage from powerful monsters or other threats. And as you'd expect from such a remote country, there were many people geared up. Based on my appraisal ability, most armors and weapons used are of inferior quality. Similarly, they also seemed rather weak. However, smelling the air of a downtown area after so long was pretty exciting. Buying some roasted meat on a stick, we continued onward. I have no idea what meat this is, but it's strangely delicious. Actually, I can analyze the meat to find out where it came from, but I won't do that. I have something else that needs to be analyzed. The sauce. This sauce could come in handy for research. Though it is unfair to the chef, eating something lets me learn its recipe. So I made a mental note of the required ingredients for this meal. I am advancing further in, guided by the trio, with a specific store in mind. Magic Tool Store. Normal tool stores and magic tool stores are very different than what people from my world would imagine. When adventurers, for example, refer to tool stores they typically mean magic ones. And it is one of these magic tool stores, I'll simply call it tool store from now on, that was our destination. To learn current market prices. I am planning to sell medium-grade medicine today. However, even if I want to sell it at 15 silvers apiece, I need to first know the price of low-grade medicine. I also want to know if there is any product made from illusion flowers, or something related to them. If we turn them into the guild, we can make 10 silvers per bouquet. Though you'd think you could make a lot of money this way, but going into the forest to search for this elusive flower often proves pointless, so most people abstain. So if you're planning on becoming a permanent harvesting adventurer, you shouldn't expect to become rich quick. Thus, usually people find them while adventuring somewhere and come to sell them, the buyer then collects them and turns them over to whoever requests. Which would mean that harvesting requests tend to stick around for years. It's a lengthy process. And since I have lots of such medical plants and flowers, I'd want to know their current prices. So, we entered the store. A peculiar smell filled the room and the store itself gave off a queer aura. A store you'd expect to be run by some elderly witch. Actually, the owner looks just like that. I looked around, quickly evaluating the goods. Sadly, I didn't see any rare items. Low-grade potions are in stock, and at a higher price. Why? Simple, The neighboring Pharma's kingdom has stopped allowing goods to come from the Dwarf kingdom. Though I guess I over-exaggerated, they are merely preventing any goods that could be used by the military to reach here. And since high-quality potions no longer arrive from the Dwarf kingdom, they have no choice but to sell the inferior stuff made by the local pharmacists. Besides, since they are making things by boiling medical herbs found in forests and caves, the medicine they produce is naturally inferior. Do I smell an opportunity? At the moment, low-grade potion quality, normal, effect, 20% is sold for 2 silver coin. In comparison, abysmal potion quality, low, effect 15% is sold for 1 silver coin. So even a small change in effect can lead to such a drastic change in price. I guess considering that it could save your life, people are rarely stingy with medicine. And with such shortage of material, adventurers who come across medical herbs will quickly find a buyer even if their guild doesn't accept it. It's always in demand, it seems. Next, illusion flowers. From this flower you can make hallucinogens and bewitching perfume. The effects of these items are hallucinogens, used to amplify hypnotism-type magic. Taking it normally will induce hallucinations. Leads to addiction. Bewitching perfume, amplifies the effects of hypnotism-type magic by up to 30%. Increases resistance to hypnotism-type magic by up to 30%. That would be for quality item, of course, normal one would increase the effects by only 20%. What is amplified? The success rate of the skill, the extent of control, and the duration. It is an item coveted by most practitioners of this type of magic. However, addiction is bad. It's probably similar to our world's hallucinogens. Though I doubt they sell it to just anybody. By the way, while I was analyzing the poison, I happened to have acquired some resistance to it. At this rate, I might get a new skill soon. If I harvest and analyze some more poisonous plants, of course. Eating the plant would be a bad idea, but I wouldn't get poisoned if I absorbed it into my stomach. So, I can't die from poison. And since I wouldn't get food poisoning either, I taste-tested most dishes during the trip. But I digress. The effects of these items is easy to dispel, but surely they cost a lot? Hallucinogens and bewitching perfume. You can't get such amazing items here. Rather than in a small country like ours, you should be looking elsewhere. The store's granny told me. Did she think that I was ridiculing her? Chances are the fact that she has even heard of such medicines is impressive. In fact, the medicine sold here is made by her. She's pretty learned, it seems. My bad. The thing is, I happen to have gotten my hands on some of those, but aren't sure if it's actually the real deal. I even borrowed a gold coin to buy it, so I'm curious. I said, trying to deceive her. What did you say? Show me. I'll check if for you. I won't charge you, so rest easy. The granny replied. Since she asked, I had no choice but to take out a small bag with a hallucinogen I made prior. I have quite a few more bags like this. The hallucinogen is fine like sugar, but red in color. The granny took it from my hands and used identification magic on it. Oh my! It's real. Aren't you lucky? With this much, you can easily make 2 gold coins. But production and sales of this item is forbidden to amateurs. It can only be sold by magicians with a special license, so beware. If you want to pawn it, however, I'd be happy to buy it from you for 2 gold coins. She said, surprised. Turning a bouquet into the guild would earn you 10 silvers. Whereas processing it would yield you 2 gold coins. That's 20 times higher. Moreover, you can also make some bewitching perfume from it. All you need is to dilute the extract with water. So this is another product that will sell well. I'm glad we picked it. I mean, I knew magic items were expensive, but for them to be so expensive. Well, it's my profit, so I don't complain. But now that she had evaluated it for me, I can't just leave without buying anything. Doesn't she have any good items? Seeing a complete lack of rare items, I started searching for anything I might need. And then I found it, Dummy's Guide. Easy to understand elemental magic theories. A magic book titled thus. Seems like it's a part of a popular publication, but to think that it is even sold out here? Well, I can read some, and even simply reading letters is practice. So let's buy the book. Aha. So, little girl, you're aspiring to be a magician? That's a beginner's book. Kids who want to enroll in an academy study from this book. But you know, you can't become a magician just from reading this book. Are you sure you want to buy it? A magic academy. How wonderful. I want to go check it out someday. Someday, I'll use Great Sage to get all the magic in the world. Yeah, no problem. How much is it? Child, your face is pretty but you've got the tongue of a middle-aged man. Ah, well. Unfortunately, it isn't cheap. Magic is a rich man's hobby. The masses, without connections, or something, can never learn magic. Just this book costs a single gold coin, too much, right? I wonder, since I'm wearing the mask, is the granny guessing by my voice? I don't really care, either way. Maybe I should change my voice to seem older? Well, it's too late now. And since it's a pain, I'll leave it as is for now. Since I'm around 150 centimeters tall right now, should I claim to be a young boy? It's been a year since I was born, but my soul is at least 38 years old, in other words, it's hard to figure out my age. In any case, I'm a child at heart. So if I look young, that isn't a problem. An enigmatic boy wearing a mask. Don't fret, there's plenty of delusional idiots calling themselves heroes and demon lords, so I'd fit right in. So let's introduce myself thus from now on. Magic is for the rich, huh? There's probably plenty among them that are incapable of learning magic, too. A single gold coin is about 100,000 yen. Though they do seem to have a printing press, I wonder why there's so few printed books. No problem. I'll buy the book for 1 gold. However, I wonder why it's so expensive. Ah, that's simple. Magic books, you see, can only be written down by hand. Though the ghost researchers have the copying machine, it rejects magic manuscripts. So, any magic book on the market has been written by hand. By the way, this book I wrote myself when I was younger, so please take care of it. I see. I didn't know, so thank you. I'll treat it with care. I said, handing over a single gold coin. Transaction complete. Doesn't he look it, but she's rich, huh, but still a child, right? What are parents doing handing their kids this much money? She grumbled to herself, while handing over the book. Magic books are handwritten, so I should expect them to be expensive. From now on, whether I stop by the Magic Academy or another royal capital, I will buy every magic book in sight. So I decided. The trio have also purchased whatever they came for. Well, so I say, but they only came to restock on potions and other herbs, so they've been waiting for me. After thanking the owner, I left the store. It was a time well spent. After leaving the store, I stopped the trio. You guys, you understand, right? The trio each handed me 10 illusion flower bouquets. And to each I handed a gold coin. Thus I have 16 gold coins left, so lots more to spend. I'd much rather process the illusion flowers myself. It would be wasteful to hand them over to the guild. During my conversation with the trio, they looked as if they wanted to ask something. Wait a minute. Rimura-san, when had you processed the illusion flowers? Actually, it's considered really difficult to do. There have been people who died from the poisonous gases that the plants let out. I see. So it really was such a dangerous plant. I guess the price is fitting. Phew. Processing such a weed is simple for someone like I. No fair. I can't even do it. As expected of Dana. I wouldn't be surprised at anything now. Me too. Dana is someone who can do anything. 3 jealous idiots. But other than Ellen, the other 2 have already accepted the facts. And, considering that we have researched the cost as desired, we headed for the Freedom Association. We reached Bremen's Freedom Association branch. The guild was at the end of road leading out of the commercial district where the magic store was. It's a stately building made of stone. The Dwarf Kingdom often dug down into the stone, so most buildings were at most 3 floors tall. The lizardmen would make use of windows designated with magic to light their houses, but this is different. It depends on natural light. So I was under the impression that people didn't build high-rise houses in this world. Well, whether you can consider 5 stories high-rise is a different story. When we entered, I noticed that they are somehow regulating the temperature. It was pleasant inside. While I actually can't feel the change in temperature due to my resistances, I could tell the difference using heat detection ability. I guess they are keeping the temperature constant with magic. Surprisingly advanced, I must say. I had thought that the world travelers kept the world relatively primitive, but I guess they've been trying to develop it in a direction different than ours. Maybe if there were no monsters or demon lords, this world would be a true magic society. However, it can also be said that all the current knowledge has been researched to counter monsters. Since the demon lords exercised restraint, the humans bought them off by handing over fertile land, so when power shifts in favor of humans, an invasion into their realms is a legitimate possibility. That thought has been preached by the Western Saints Church, I heard. True, monsters are stronger right now, but no one knows what the future will hold. I guess I need to implement some real foreign policy to protect the rights of my city. I'm glad I came here. By seeing a human city, by learning something about humans, I can better prepare against possible future threats. Thus, I decided to see more and more things. Now then, I shouldn't stand in the doorway. I was guided further in by the trio. The inside reminded me of a municipal building's reception room. There's a desk like one you'd see at an airport, where you surrender your baggage, with a plate that reads, Sales Counter. All in all, there are 3 counters separated from each other. The sales counter I just mentioned. Counter for visitors and other general users. Counter specific for adventurers. The room is separated into these 3 sectors. The sales counter is exactly what it sounds like. Items that you found or went to obtain on request are brought over here. The general counter is used by beginners and Freedom Association members who live in the city. That's where you go to register or retire from the guild. The adventurer's counter can only be used by authorized adventurers. An adventurer is a Freedom Association member who either goes foraging, subjugating, or hunting on request. Some take on different types of tasks, but most people still refer to them by the generic term, adventurer. Furthermore, an adventurer is someone who has to have some basic combat ability. For example, there's a specialized division called the Magician's Guild. To be affiliated with them, you need to be able to use some kind of magic. However, affiliation with them does not guarantee usefulness to the Freedom Association. It's no good if all you can do is use some magic. Only after you have lived by foraging, subjugating, or hunting are you recognized as an adventurer. So, what are the merits to becoming an adventurer? While every Freedom Association branch is affiliated with a specific country, its members are able to change countries easily. Leaving the city or even crossing the border is far easier for an adventurer. Of course, this may not apply during wartime, but this allows for greater mobility. In other words, compared to people with clear allegiances, guild members are able to freely select a country where they want to live. Well, not like there's a big difference other than the tax you'd have to pay. The origin of the name, Freedom Association, comes from adventurers who wanted to be able to freely move between countries. Well, even so, there's not that many people who constantly switch countries. This was explained to me by the 3 idiots on our way to the counters. After receiving this explanation, we proceeded to the back. Hey, we're leading our guest to the back rooms, so let us pass. Ah, Cabal-san. You have returned. Who might this be? Yeah, Guildmaster's guest. Treat him with respect, please. After that exchange, we were let through. And in the background, Cabal-san is so cool. Ellen-san is so gorgeous. Always so beautiful. Fools. To not understand Gido-san's greatness. But, who is that kid? Why treat her with respect? I heard the people in the background say this, but couldn't really understand them. Why are the 3 idiots idolized here? Even in the first village we stopped by they were famous. We stopped in front of a room in the back. The room was guarded by 2 soldiers, who opened the door on Cabal's signal. In the middle of the room is a magic circle. Similar to the one that Bester drew. One that allows travel both ways. I was guided to the magic circle, and used it to teleport. It can be used to travel up to the 4th floor, the 5th floor is accessible via a different circle. To prevent infiltration from spies and such. How prudent. Now that I think about it, there are no windows past the 4th floor. Probably to prevent break-in. The magic circle to the 5th floor lies directly beyond the guild master's room. We entered the room. Welcome, one who commands monsters. I am this branch's guild master Fuse. A short man with a vigilant face extended his greetings. I see, he definitely fits the description of a guild master. He's plenty strong and seems rather capable. But if anything, it's the aura about him. He seems to be a rather gutsy individual. I am Rimuru Tempest, ruler of the new monster country Tempest of the Jura Forest. Pleased to make your acquaintance. After finishing our introductions, we started our questioning. Since our meeting lasted long into the night, I decided to stay in one of the Freedom Association's rooms. P.S. Sadly, although I had plenty of money left and finally arrived at a human city, I couldn't venture into a new frontier for now. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 54, Business: The Start of a Trade. Surprise. It's 23 minutes early. Editor's Corner, Cast, Yuka, Smoggy and a certain shrine maiden. Maiko, Yuka. Why are you here in the city? Yuka, huh? Oh, it's just you armpits. Can't you see I'm performing in a circus? Maiko, pfft. A circus? A yokai like you performing in a circus? Bwahahaha. Yuka, veins appear on forehead. Maiko, you should go back and tend to your sunflower field instead, not like you can do anything else, ho ho ho. Yuka, leave me alone. Don't blame me if your donation box goes missing tonight. Maiko, oh you wouldn't dare. A certain bear picks up a newspaper while nibbling on a fish. Smoggy, hey Yuka, it says here that the Hakure Shrine's donation box is missing. Doesn't the new bathtub you bought here look awfully similar to the donation box? Yuka, no idea. Life in the royal capital. 054. Business: The Start of a Trade. The meeting continued until late last night. It can't be helped since I arrived late. Well, we were supposed to meet today, but apparently the noble wanted to meet me no matter what. We exchanged information briefly during yesterday's meeting. Mainly, I heard about the towns and countries of humans. I also learned about the Free Association. They even said they would introduce me to their leader Yuki Kagurazaka at their headquarters. However, something felt amiss. I heard the Freedom Association's headquarters is located in the royal capital, but there are a lot of royal capitals. There's the large neighboring Pharma's kingdom, and the terrifyingly strong neighboring kingdom of the sorcery dynasty of Sarian. Even a small kingdom such as Bremen has a royal capital. In fact, we're in it right now. So in which country is the Freedom Association headquarters located in? The clusters of countries around the Great Jura Forest joined together and formed the council. Therefore, the gathering of councillors must be in an easily accessible location, and its headquarters is now set in the Ingratia Kingdom. In terms of strength, the one boasting the strongest power amongst those that joined the council is the Pharma's kingdom. But due to the developed transportation system in the Ingratia Kingdom, it became the heart of all the kingdoms instead. That's the most likely reason why the Pharma's kingdom and the Ingratia Kingdom are on bad terms. However, there's also another reason why the Ingratia Kingdom was selected. The Ingratia Kingdom is the only kingdom not directly next to the Great Jura Forest. Therefore, it's less susceptible to monster attacks, granting it the blessing of being safe. The Freedom Association's headquarters will be located in the country which is blessed with safety and has advanced transportation networks. That much is obvious. That means, when they said the royal capital, they were referring to the royal capital of the Ingratia Kingdom. Another feature of the countries within the council is that fact they're all countries that follow the church. In other words, the kingdoms surrounding the Great Jura Forest are within the sphere of influence of the church. Commerce and religion are the two main pillars that support the bonds between kingdoms. Each country votes for a councillor, and all of the councillors embody equality due to their religion. I heard there's a system where important decisions are discussed and decided in the council. Surprisingly, this system is quite similar to the United Nations from my previous life. Councillor election methods differ from country to country, but the majority of the councillors elected are from the royal family. By the way, the sorcery dynasty of Sarian doesn't have a national religion. The king claims to be a descendant of God, and forbids all other religions. Thus, they were rejected from being a part of the council, making them an isolated superpower. But I heard that they do have commercial relations with the other kingdom, most likely because it is a superpower. Anyway, I heard that the Freedom Association's headquarters is located in the center of the Ingratia Kingdom. So if I want to meet Yuki Kagurazaka, I'll have to visit the Ingratia Kingdom. Apparently, they were willing to write a letter, introducing me to him. But in exchange, I was told to meet Baron Baryuda, a noble of this nation. Of course I agreed to the terms, and am currently riding towards my destination on a horse carriage with my current partner. I parted with the 3 idiots last night. Please, let's keep in touch. As I thought, let's adventure together forever. It sure will get lonely without you. Let's play together again in Tempest. Saying these words, they departed unwillingly. But, that's their own problem. I, for one, don't feel anything at the moment. Strangely, I don't feel lonely at all. While I was thinking of such things, the carriage came to a halt. It appears we have arrived. It is a district lined with beautiful structures. Feeling composed, Fuse guided me towards a building, slightly smaller compared to the others. By the way, is it fine that I don't know anything about the honorific etiquette and manners of nobility? Ah. That's right, that's going to be troublesome. Is everything going to be alright? About Fuse's old man, I heard he's going to be quite the handful. Yesterday, Fuse asked about the current situation of the Great Jura Forest. After that, he asked about Shizus and whether do I know about Feldera. When it came to Feldera, I played the fool and feigned ignorance. As for the situation in the Great Jura Forest, I said our town was doing well in its own way while being as vague as possible. Naturally, I was asked to explain my subjugation of the local monsters, in detail. I understood that even they wanted to know the reason as to why there was so little damage caused by the monsters. As for Shizu-san's story, it was kind of hard to talk about it, much less explain it. In the end, I stopped explaining when it reached a certain promise with Shizu-san. Fuse. I see. I'm counting on you. After muttering that, nothing more was spoken. Shizu-san, renowned as the explosive monarch, seemed to have been in a rank adventure that belonged to the headquarters. At the headquarters, she worked hard as an instructor, but she probably realized that her death drew near. Refusing to be confined in the headquarters, she suddenly disappeared. And that's how the story goes, but, thanks to her, I was able to make many new friends. I trusted Fuse and came all this way, but is it really alright? With all these etiquette and formality, this is going to be one troublesome talk. While worrying about such things, I then entered the building. After entering the building, an old man who introduced himself as the butler guided us. Anyway, there are also maids here, which is always nice. I remember going to maid cafes in my previous life. Just sitting down cost thousands of yen, it's a complete rip-off. This factor makes qualifying this as a good memory a problem. However, this is a different world. A guy like me can see the difference in quality when compared to the genuine thing. There are only fake old maids in real life. Guided by the butler, we entered a room. There are even more doors in the room. The butler knocked on one of the doors. There was a reply. Enter. Honestly, these kinds of exchanges are just annoying. Going straight through a magic circle, the interior is completely different. Once inside, a tall slim man who looked like he was very hard-working with a parsimonious beard and silted eyes, greeted me. You have arrived. My name is Baron Ballard, I am one of Bremen's ministers, pleased to be your acquaintance. The other party has greeted me before I managed to give my greetings. Nice to meet you. My name is Rimuru Tempest. I am a monster, but I wish to form amicable relations with humans. I may be ignorant when it comes to manners and etiquette, but I hope you can overlook that. I returned the greeting and shook hands with him. This place's practices are quite similar to my previous life. Do be at ease. I am but a landless baron. It's fine even without the formality. Now then, the time we have isn't infinite. Let's talk briefly. I'll get straight to the point. About your town, Tempest, I would like to form a cooperative relation with there. We propose to cooperate to support adventurers on their adventure and assist them when they're having problems facing powerful monsters. I only ask these 2 points of you. Well. To summarize what he said, since Bremen is a small country without much national power, their countermeasures against monsters are insufficient. They somehow cooperated with the Freedom Association, but the Freedom Association can't be their only means of defense against monsters. Fortunately, there aren't any major damage caused by monsters to date, but in preparation for the future, they wished to form bilateral relations with Tempest. Assistance for adventurers, that's a topic that Fuse touched upon yesterday. He's probably thinking that in order for the adventurers to succeed, and to reduce the threat the forest poses, I'll need to provide necessities such as beds and supplies for those working in the forest. However, his partner is a country of monsters. I wonder why did he approach and trusted us so easily? That's something to worry about. Indeed, what benefits will I gain if I accept this? Rather than a collaborative relationship, don't you think this is only one-sided? Of course, we'll also try to guarantee certain benefits to there. We'll legitimize your identity as a nation. In other words, you, and your country Tempest, we promise to recognize it as a legitimate nation of monsters. We have even obtained permission from the King of Bremen. If your side cooperates with us, we'll recognize you guys as a nation, and promise decent correspondence. In other words, we'll mutually stay vigilant about monsters and help each other in times of emergencies. Either way, we're supposed to be on guard, but with this, we would not have to worry about Bremen. We will notify and help each other when faced with assaults by powerful monsters. I don't think there'll any problems. If we accept this offer, we'll be recognized as a legitimate country. This doesn't seem like a bad deal. Well, I'll admit it though, the council that was previously mentioned may not necessarily acknowledge this, as Bremen is the only country in the council that does. Still, getting the approval of 2 countries, after the Dwarven Kingdom is a major achievement. Very well, I will accept this offer. After I said this, the atmosphere felt significantly less tense than before. I will probably have been cornered if it were to continue anyway. I see, that's great. Now then, this is the certificate of approval from the King of Bremen. And this is proof that it is a legitimate document. While saying this, he took out a stamp from his pocket. The stamp emitted light in response to the spirit pledge magic. This shows that it is indeed a legitimate document from the king. My skill analyze also show the same results. Unexpectedly, contractual relationship frauds can't be performed in this world. Compared to my previous life, such procedures are much more simplified. This really helped me since I don't have to take my time to meet the king directly. Besides, they probably aren't going to allow the king to meet a monster. It also simplified the process in that aspect as well. And with my signature on the treaty between Bremen and Tempest has been established. During this event, a third party bears witness that the transaction is carried out justly. After that, we made a few arrangements, and conducted another meeting in going into details of the treaty. And for the first time, I remembered about the flaws of the contracts in this world. So, in the event where we have to move a force through the forest, we'll be counting on your cooperation. That's what he said. A force. This isn't something related to monsters. Because we were to cooperate during emergencies, that also includes when the nation is being attacked. For example, the Eastern Empire. I were deceived. How dare you deceive me? Guo. I wanted to faint in agony. Idiot, 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 idiot. Stupid me. I remembered that sweet talk. If you think about it from Bremen's side, they now have a reason to get me to cooperate even without my consent. Look at the trio, idiots, I can't even chase away adventurers. If we were to get the country's approval, there's no need for that. But there's a reason he daringly says that. Bremen was really afraid that the Eastern Empire will invade through the forest. In preparation for when that happens, they probably wanted me to become the buffer state. Certainly, he didn't lie. If we're having problems, he'll also come help. After all, it's our turn next. Even if the Empire does ignore us, we're going to have to send in reinforcements from Bremen. Anyway, we have been successfully deceived. You noticed? You are certainly quick. However, you have already signed the treaty, so when the time comes, we're counting on you. With a grin, I was laughed at with a beaming smile. Baron Bullard. A man who handles work very well. That sly old dog of a noble, tricking people like me is probably like taking candy from a baby. Tisk. It can't be helped, I'll let it slip for now. Strangely, I don't feel angry even after I've been deceived. Apart from the shallow feeling of regret, I feel like praising the adversary. I've been had. Kind of moment. Well, this is also a form of experience. I'll think about it when the Empire does move. And again, you can't let your guard down around humans. Monsters are unexpectedly straightforward. I made a vow in my heart that from now on, when negotiating with humans, I'll have to think more deeply before making any decisions. It's not fun to be deceived. Even after all the trouble, I still benefited from the experience. I took out a medium healing potion, and placed it on the table. This is? Baron Bullard questioned. It's a recovery potion made in my town. I wanted to sell it in the local markets. I answered. Fuse and Bullard held the potion in their hand and examined it. Fuse can definitely perform analytical magic. What is this? This isn't some cheap stuff sold in the town. This is a high-class good similar to those sold in the royal capital. The Pharma's kingdom taxes it when they distribute it, but it doesn't come into these markets. Just how many do you have? I told them that I currently have 500. If they're willing to buy on a regular basis, I can probably supply them 2,000-3,000 monthly if I take it out of the storage. In this country, adventurers are at the front lines, and there's a demand for the potions. There's a branch of the Freedom Association at the Pharma's Kingdom, but adventurers that affiliated with them are few. There are several reasons, the biggest reason being that there's a trend of looking down upon adventurers. However, it's also a fact that adventurers tend to be generous with their money. And, they also help thin the number of demons. Due to this reason, there have been recent desperate attempts of trying to attract adventurers, but there aren't any results to show. That's why, goods like high-quality recovery potions are vital, luring adventurers while imposing high taxes on dwarf-made weapons. I've thought about it this much. If it's armor, a bit of adjustment is all it needs. We might even be able to sell off the gear of monsters. If that's the case, people will be eager to buy it. At the very least, if I sell a product I will be able to attain some profit. Hopefully, I will be able to make up for my previous blunder. We were introduced to the merchant guard Miles. I left the office of Baron Bullard, and proceeded to visit the merchant guard Miles. At the corner of the shopping street, there was a large store called the Miles Firm. The chairman of the shopping street seems to be the owner of the store. He has joined the Freedom Association Merchant Guild, but is a formal Bremen merchant with the country's permission. It's quite rare for a person to have the license of both the country and the Freedom Association. I was told that Guard Miles was one of the rare individuals. Wilco. Ahem, welcome, please come here Dana, what kind of order do you have today? I came with Fuse today, and I replied with a humble bow. When you think about it, this old man Fuse is also an authoritative figure in this kingdom. Today I came to introduce this person. Show respect. I must return since I still have some errands, please excuse my rudeness. This person, what kind of person is it? In short, a state guest. I'm leaving it to you. Saying these parting words, Fuse left. I've been left behind after being referred to as a state guest. How should I act if I got lost? Well, it's fine I guess. My name is Rimuru, please take care of me. I came to make a business transaction, and my product is this. Thus we started negotiating. As expected of the merchant Miles. He quickly appraised the good to ascertain its value. Negotiations began. At the end, I decided to sell them here. It was decided that the price will be 22 silver coins each. And the retail price set here was 25 silver coins. After telling him the location of our town, he plans to go stock up. If Myo Miles is going to buy more, then the selling price at Tempest is 20 silver coins. In addition, due to the matter of assisting adventurers, it was decided that the selling price to adventurers at Tempest will also be 22 silver coins. In this fashion, we shook hands with each other, and signed the contract. This time without any fine prints, we were able to form a satisfactory agreement with each other. But Dana, I can't use a horse-drawn carriage to arrive at Dana's town. If it's restocking on recovery potions, I can manage it somehow, but it's going to be rather inconvenient. Of course that's something we must discuss. It would have been nice if I established a highway. I understand. Then I'll build a highway that connects Tempest to Bremen. Nanny. You'll be able to use a carriage if I made a road, right? I think it'll take 2 months for a horse carriage to finish the journey. If we cut down some trees we'll be able to make a direct path. Although, I think it's going to take 6 months to finish. Is that fine? Of course. I also want to see the 500 you're selling too. Myo Miles answered while smiling ear to ear whilst rubbing his hands together. The highway towards the Dwarf Kingdom is complete. Now, we'll move on and establish a highway that connects towards Bremen. This way, trade between Tempest and Bremen has supposedly started. When the highway that connects Tempest and Bremen is completed, the merchants of Bremen will have no need to go through the Pharma's kingdom to reach the Dwarf Kingdom. And thus, Tempest is becoming the new center of trade routes. Extra, a certain editor's luck. Crying face, page 44/46 and it crashes without me saving. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 55, Adventurer Registration. Translator's Corner, Cast, an English clown and a landlord. Landlord, you fool. Clown, I'm a clown, fool was my grandfather. Landlord, that joke is old already. Clown, he was pretty old. Landlord, what? Clown, my grandfather, he was at least 3,000 years old. He was completely senile by then. Landlord, you're clearly his granddaughter. Clown, did you need something, Landlord-san? Landlord, yeah, the police wants to see you. Clown, oh, my. Did I turn invisible? Landlord, I wish. Clown, I do too. Landlord. Clown, so, a joke. What does a real estate agent use for birth control? His personality. Landlord. Listen clown, you know the police station by the Goshinji temple? Yeah, go there. Clown, will they give me a lollipop? Landlord, hopefully, they'll give you a decade of rest. Life in the royal capital. 055. Adventurer Registration. There's only one thing to do now that we signed the contract. Right, celebrate. I couldn't venture into the unseen lands yesterday, but today is different. Miles Kun. Do you have any plans after this? Phew, Dana also enjoys it, huh. This Miles has the perfect shop in mind. Ho ho. But, are you aware that I have high standards for these things? Please leave it to me. I am completely certain that you shall be pleased. And thus we spend the night drinking. I dare say. What a blissful day. And like that for a week. I'm still in the care of Miles' establishment. Of course, I'm not just messing around the whole day. Using Shadow Step I went to let Rigurdo know about our arrangement with the Bremen Kingdom, and to order Bester to mass-produce medicine, among other things. I also didn't forget to order Kaijin and Gerudo to lay a road all the way here. And, to have them prepare lodging space for adventurers who would eventually show up and train people to repair armor and weapons. Though we just finished one construction spree, everyone seemed eager to start another. After giving out orders, I would come back and spend the night drinking, that's how busily I spent every day. Upon receiving my orders the city livened up with action. It should be fine to leave it to them. At this rate, they should finish the road within the next 2 months. The money I made from selling medium-grade medicine, high potions, totaled 110 gold coins. Combined with what I already had, I currently have 126. I gave 100 to Meyer Miles so that he'd deliver vegetable sprouts and seeds, and spices of every kind to our city. But I still have 26 left. Since that's quite a large sum, I planned to splurge to my heart's content, but there was nothing I wanted to buy. The week's worth of drinking was covered by Meyer Miles. He probably intended to ensure favorable relations considering our future joint endeavors. So he really let me have my way. In other words, I received the best treatment imaginable. Meyer Miles is definitely a useful man. And that's how I became friends with this merchant. But I'm not letting my guard down. Meyer Miles is softening people up with a smile on his face. That's the mark of a true merchant. He also lends out money at the highest interest rate, and I've seen many potential customers visit him daily. But it seems that he doesn't meet these people personally, rather, he leaves it to his store attendants. As expected of a licensed merchant, he has many ways of making profit. There's also some nobles who come to him to borrow some money. Debt is a frightening thing. It can always be used. Well, since both parties intend to benefit, betrayal is unlikely. Merchants first and foremost consider both parties' profit. Rather than relying on a poor alliance, it's better to establish trustworthiness. This whole week I've been trying to ascertain his character with intention of confirming viability of future cooperation. Signed the contract and arranged future deliveries. I guess it's time to set off on a journey. I let Meyer Miles know my intentions. Thanks for the past week. I'll come to hang out again. Dana. I'll be waiting for your return. Please, please, come again. Yeah. In 2 months I'll send a group to guard and lead you to my city. They'll come in my name, so you'll know it's them. I leave it to you. Understood. We parted after this exchange. The attendants and other customers were surprised at his humility. I didn't understand why at first, but after thinking for a moment it made sense. Shop owner who normally acts arrogantly suddenly acts so humble to a child, certainly a bizarre scene. Maybe I should have changed into my adult form during our conversation. Well, too late now. And so, I left the shop. After leaving I headed straight for the Freedom Association. They already wrote an introduction letter to Kagurazaka Yuki. Of course, I'm planning on going to get it, but I also need to finally get an ID in this world. The country has promised to recognize my person, so I'll be registering at the guild. Otherwise, I'd have to go from country to country demanding identification every time I visited, and that would be pain. If I register as an adventurer, I would be recognized not by a single country but by every country that cooperates with the association. After registering, unless some troubles come up, I should probably make my way towards the Ingrasia Kingdom. Without delay, I lined up to the receptionist. They seem pretty free at noon, so I quickly got to see somebody. Registration, please / Little girl, isn't it a bit too soon for you? The receptionist lady softly rebuked my request. That's to be expected, considering my appearance. It's still a pain, though. I don't mind, there's no problem. After I said so, the receptionist lady reluctantly handed me the registration form. I filled in the form she gave me. Name, age, specialty, birthplace, and such. Seems like I need to fill in only what I know. So I only filled in the name and identified myself as a swordsman. With that, I finished filling in the form. Next, I would need to decide which guild to join. You can join more than one, so it's not something to fret about. I decided on the subjugation division. Little girl, that's a dangerous one. Are you sure? The worried receptionist said, but I told her not to mind it. I wondered if she'd give up, but... In that case, let's hold a trial. If you leave the city gates, the lowest rank is not F, it's E. So, I can't recognize you without a trial first. What will you do? It's alright to give up, you know. Just joining the Freedom Association would make you an F rank. To join combat specialized divisions, however, you would need to be at least E rank, Huh? I see. In that case, please put me to a test. I decided to accept the trial. As long as it's not a written test, there shouldn't be a problem. The receptionist lady stood up and went inside. Then, she brought a man. He'll probably oversee the test. You are being tested, huh? Whatever. Come at me, he said, and had us move to another building. The bored adventurers who saw this began to murmur among themselves. Oi, that small child isn't planning on testing, right? That's too ridiculous. Wanna bet on whether she passes or not? Stop it, the outcome is clear. But, she did have a strange sword on her hip. Never seen one like that before. Seemed pretty skillful too. They whispered to each other. Since there's little to kill time with, they probably jump on the opportunity to discuss these kinds of things. In the end, they wandered after us to observe. The test was held in a building as large as a gymnasium. The test to move on to the next rank is also held here. You can't take requests without an appropriate rank, so you can take the test at any time. For that purpose, a proctor from every guild is always present. But since proctors are sometimes relied upon in times of need, they are mostly hired from among rank A adventurers retired from military service. Similarly, the man in front of me, albeit young, is missing a leg. He probably lost it performing his duties and became a proctor instead. I'll say this ahead of time. If you pass, you become E rank, and are allowed to subsequently challenge D and C rank, and above. However, if you fail, you have to first earn 100 F points before testing again. Do you understand? F points are obtained from F rank requests. Rewards and points differ between different levels of requests. In short, you get rewarded for your skill. Doing the same thing over and over, after all, only troubles everybody. No problem, I answered, and the proctor nodded in return. And, pointing at the ground. The test will be conducted within a magic circle. Enter it. After you finish your preparations, we begin. Where he pointed lay a 20-meter in diameter magic circle. I entered it. At the same time, a dome-like barrier was erected. Some people were excitedly looking this way. I am ready, I shouted. All right. In that case, defeat the opponent before you. The proctor said, and poured magic into the circle. Summoning magic. And a single hound appeared before me. It's often used to practice. But, that's all there is to it. Faster than the dog could growl, and maybe even faster than it could show fear of me. I decapitated it in a single slash. Yo. Defeated, next one please. I was welcomed by silence. Amazing. I heard that whisper. The proctor for the first time showed confusion. You weren't a beginner. No, I never said I was, did I? In any case, I want to quickly become A ranked. Sorry, you can only test up to B here, B and rank and above are conducted at the headquarters only. So, what now? Will you test up to B? Is that so? Got it. In that case, I'll go up to B, please. It's a pain, so let's get it over with. Since I'm heading there anyways, I might as well take every test up until then. Nodding at my words, and after having regained his composure, the proctor summons the next opponent. D rightward arrow hound wolf. C rightward arrow giant bear. C plus rightward arrow giant bat. I'm smoothly cutting through every foe he summons. The audience is now silent, observing my fight. Chances are, they are simply glued to the scene before them. In any case, I've been able to cut down my opponents with a single slash thus far. I laughed when a giant bat appeared. How many years has it been since it first attacked me? And after defeating it, I was already up to rank C+. The next one is rank B. Superb. To think you were so skilled. B rank monster is strong. Are you ready? No problem. Please send it in. Thus, the last enemy was summoned. A demon with 4 wriggling arms. Named, Lesser Demon. That's the first time I've seen a demon race. I kind of want to eat it and obtain its abilities. That monster is a lesser demon. Physical attacks won't work against it. Now, what will you do? You should give up now. Wounds from this thing might just kill you. The proctor exclaimed, somewhat excited. He's probably just bitter that I've defeated all the enemies so easily up until now. But what should I do? I don't really want to show my skills or magic. While I was pondering this, the lesser demon's eyes flashed red, and he started chanting magic. Then, he fired 4 fireballs at me. As expected of a B-rank monster. Truly amazing. I easily dodged the attack, feeling them gaudily explode against the barrier behind me. However, did the 3 idiots really defeat this thing alone? Hey, isn't a lesser demon something you challenge with a team? Yeah. I was just thinking that. Hey. Defeating that alone is impossible. That's like a rank B end test. I heard such exclamations. If I look closely at the proctor, his eyes are bloodshot. I guess some hazing is to be expected. Whatever. Physical attacks aren't really effective. It's only half corporeal, after all. A demon race, it seems, is an ethereal being that possesses intelligence and obtains a body. The lesser demon was annoyed at the fact that I kept dodging its attacks, so it came at me with its 4 arms. I could simply eat it. I have no choice, let's envelop the sword with magic. A magic sword. Like I always do, I bring out a bit of my aura, and I carefully infuse some into the sword as if not to be revealed as a monster. Now, all I need is to slash at it. The lesser demon was cut in half by my sword, turned into rubbish, and disappeared. Yo. The end? Is that good enough for B rank? The audience was silent for a moment, but... Amazing. Girl, you're so cool. Take your mask off and show us your face for a second. You perverts. Don't mind them and form a party with us. And other similar grand statements resounded throughout the hall. What a ruckus. The proctor also seemed to have calmed down or something, saying, wonderful. You pass. You pass with flying colors. He shook my hand. He probably completely forgot the hazing a moment ago. Not that I care. And, ignoring the requests from the audience, I proceeded back into the main building to finish the formalities. I was recognized as a B-rank adventurer and received the appropriate card. Name, Rimuru. Rank, B. Specialty, Sword. Division, Subjugation. That's what the card reads. It seems they didn't include the sections I left blank. Alright. I can now call myself an adventurer. I received the card and said my thanks. The receptionist lady now treated me different. Though she previously treated me as a child, she now acted with respect befitting another adult. As expected of a professional. She's quick to rectify her behavior. Leaving them behind, I proceeded to impose on Fuse. I had someone lead the way. We went through the magic circle, and knocked on the door. When I entered, Fuse turned to me and exclaimed. Oi, you're standing out too much. To cut a lesser demon with a sword, don't you know how to hold back? A magic sword, right? Even enchanters can't use that much power, so you've done it now. Did I cause a problem? Actually, if you were looking then you should have stopped it. Seriously. I didn't even have the time to. It's fine. Magic swords have been introduced by world travelers and are experimental right now. So, there's few people who use one. We're planning to make it our trump card against monsters, so users are selected by invitation only. I'll silence the proctor, but be more careful from now on. Infusing magic into a sword, though you'd expect it to be a common technique, it's actually really difficult. Well, if there weren't people watching, I'd just eat it. Though I pay it no mind, it seems that I have many high-grade skills. So having selected this one on a whim, I stood out too much. Not like I'm planning to fight in front of everybody from now on. But I should be more mindful from now on. Thanks. I'll be more careful from now on. And, I'm off. Right. Pass my regards to the headquarters. And be careful. After thanking Fuse and picking up my introduction letter, I left the Freedom Association. I got a guild card as my identification, and earned money for my travel expenses. Arranged support for my city, and even formed diplomatic relationships with the country. Not bad for a first outing. If possible, I would rather not fight against humans. Forming a friendly relationship and cooperating with them from now on would be best. And thus ended my stay in Bremen. Next on my list is Ingrasia Kingdom's royal capital. To meet Freedom Association headquarters Grand Master Kagurazaka Yuki. I thus resumed my journey to meet a fellow world traveler. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 56, Ingrasia Kingdom. 056. Ingrasia Kingdom. The journey to Ingrasia Kingdom proceeded without incident. I summoned Ranga, and had him assume a smaller form. He also has fur armor equipped, so there shouldn't be any problems if humans see him. That is, he currently looks like a slightly bigger black wolf. Though the road we traveled by was unpaved, it was still considered a highway, so we did see some mounted soldiers. Few monsters spawn around here, and there's little magic in the air. We didn't see any powerful monsters. However, the roads were infested, in some sense. Robbers and highwaymen, those petty types were all over them. But we didn't even run into them. Well, I guess that's to be expected. What kind of being could catch up with Ranga's pace? And it's not like we're running at neck break pace, we're proceeding leisurely, but still at least 60 kilometers per hour. Far faster than any horse carriage. Thus, the journey proceeded smoothly, and we arrived to Ingrasia Royal City in merely 2 days. The scale of the city was surprising. Sure, it's plenty wide, but there's also a large wall surrounding the city. 2 gates lead into it, and there's no way in except for the 2 gates. It's baffling to think just how much money and time was needed to construct this. We entered the city and marveled at the sight. Many tall structures filled the city, but that much we expected. However, the scale of the buildings was incomparable those in Bremen. Most were at least 5 stories high. The city was full of brick and wood buildings. But more than anything, it was the strict city planning and the White Castle in the middle of the city that made me wonder. A large lake occupied the center of the city, and a castle was built in the middle of it. 4 bridges extend from the castle and connect to the city's main roads. This solemn piece of architecture properly conveyed the country's military strength. In short, all I thought was amazing. From the perspective of defense, every important junction has knights monitoring public order. You'd have to be pretty desperate to even attempt a criminal act. As expected of a city planned ahead of time by the council. I mean, just think of the consequences if some foreign prince ran into trouble here. To prevent such occurrences, the city has perfected its defense. Thanks to the guild card I was able to quickly pass through one of the gates. Normally, one has to undergo 3 different identity checks to be permitted access. At the first step, they check your identification documents. If you successfully pass this check, you have to go through a thorough body search. Then, line up in another line. Each point is heavily protected, and the lines are far longer than the one in the Dwarf Kingdom. In other words, I'm truly happy that I had the guild ID. By the way, even if there are any problems during your second check, you could go on to the third, but you'd be treated as a criminal from then on. You'd basically be treated in a way that will discourage you from trying to enter. But still, there are many people trying to gain entrance. And so, extremely long lines stretch in front of the inspectors. This all proves just how beguiling this city is to foreigners. I proceed onward impressed. As for Ranga, he's entered my shadow from the moment we reached the royal capital. What? You thought I would just bring him here in the open? Of course not. Wolves don't belong in cities. Even I have that much common sense. Don't worry. And so, after having hidden Ranga in my shadow and spent half a day in line, we finally entered the city. What's amazing is more than its appearance. I was able to see a wonderful display of their advanced culture. I saw many large gymnasium-styled buildings that are used for concerts. Busy squares are home to performers and theaters. There's also lots of advertisements for performances. I don't know if paper is just that cheap here, but you see flyers thrown away on the streets. Truly a metropolis. I was finally able to smell the air of busy capital after such a long time. No way. I thought in surprise, looking at glass buildings. Behind the glass you could see products being sold, like the store windows of our world. Actually, I guess that's exactly what they are. The only difference would be that the main products on display are armors and weapons. The stores that specialized in dresses and such were located closer to the castle in the high-class district. But those are not stores intended for the masses. You'd have to be pretty rich just to live inside the city walls, but housing near the castle is certainly limited only to the nobles. And that's a sign of wealth disparity. Well, that's just how it is. Isn't it natural to treat those that contribute more to taxes better? Thus, after wandering around the city for a bit, I started looking for an inn. The city is separated into 4 large districts. The Merchants District, the Sightseeing District, the Production District, and the Residential District. Separated by the castle in the center, a circular city. And easy to understand. So, I proceeded to the Sightseeing District. As I thought, I quickly found a section dedicated to inns. There was also a bar in the back. That got me excited. However, that was not my goal today. Unfortunately, I abstained from festivities, and reserved a room in the inn. The Sightseeing District is near the walls, with various attractions lined up in the streets. There's also quite a few street vendors. Closer to the center is a large building intended for diplomats and conferences. There's also a school inside, it seems. Of the 4 sections of this district, it is the most heavily guarded. And close to this section stands the Freedom Association's main headquarters. I didn't know where it was at first, so I had asked a knight for directions. Which one do you have business in? The closest one is straight that way, he said, pointing. In that direction stood a large gaudy building. Next to it was a building affiliated with the Western Saints Church. A Saint Cross symbol stood proudly on the top. Next to that church. Right, the gaudy one. Even a little girl like you wouldn't get lost getting to it. That's how I learned the way. The Freedom Association seems to have another building, but I'll head to the nearest one first. It's a pretty large building, that can be seen from far away. Thus, after securing a place at the inn, I had come to the Freedom Association's headquarters. Right now I have no business with the church. Actually, as an atheist, I'd prefer to stay away from the church my whole life. Moreover, the church considers monsters its natural enemy. So I'd rather not appear before it. But who would have expected it to stand so close to the Freedom Association? Well, as long as I don't reveal any of my aura they shouldn't recognize me for who I am. Not that there's any use worrying about it. If they find out, we'll figure out the next step then. The entryway to the association is covered in glass. Must have cost a lot. Frankly, I hadn't expected to see glass doors in this world. Just what you'd expect from world travelers. They seemed to have achieved the impossible through pure will. I guess my own efforts have been lacking thus far. What you permit happens, and what you don't permit doesn't happen. Rather than saying what you can or can't do, simply doing it is important. Let's remember that. And, when I had thought to enter, I felt a presence staring at me. The doors opened by themselves. Seriously. A sensor detects human presence and opens the door. What a useless example of intricate technology. I'm surprised they went this far. Considering that the church next door is opened by hand. Why is it different? It's next door. I couldn't fathom the reason for the difference. When I entered I felt a gaze fall upon me. A lady by the door said, "Welcome. For what purpose have you visited us today?" Just like in a hotel. The headquarters are too influenced by them. "Ah, I wish to meet with the Grand Master. I have an introductory letter," I said, and handed her the document. "Allow me to verify it. Please wait in this room." She guided me to a waiting room. The headquarters are really impressive. The moment I sat on the sofa another attendant brought me tea. They really leave nothing to be desired. I suddenly got curious, so I asked. "Hey, security seems pretty lax around here, can just anyone waltz in like this?" "Oh, this must be your first time to the headquarters. Only adventurers of B rank and above can enter it. The entrance scans your guild card, so people without a proper identification cannot enter. Those below B rank, C and below have to use the building near the entrance to the city. So she explained. I see, so the censor also had that purpose. And the other building the knight had mentioned must be that one, huh? So outsiders don't know about the necessary rank requirements. I probably would have been sent here after presenting the letter, but I'm glad I stopped by here first. Ranking up to B was also the correct decision. While I was thinking this, I heard a knock on the door. A door opened and in stepped a man. Black hair and black eyes, the appearance of a youth. A rather good face, blessed with a truly youthful appearance. He could easily introduce himself as a high school student. Pleased to meet you, I am Kagurazaka Yuki, the Grand Master of the Freedom Association. I'm looking forward to our conversation, Rimuru-san. I'll listen intently, he said, flashing bright smile. An easy-to-befriend young lad. That's how I met Kagurazaka Yuki. Pay on. The door flew open, and Milim entered. That was the norm, so Frey didn't react much. In the first place, the large mass of energy that was rapidly approaching her could only be Milim. When Milim entered, she happily exclaimed with a wide smile. Yahoo, Frey! What wonderful weather we have today! She was combing her beautiful blonde hair with her hand. Her hands adorned with an unfamiliar item. Not a ring. Something enveloping 4 of her fingers, with dragon images as decorations. It fit naturally around her small hands. Did I come too early? She said, fanning her face. Since when is she bothered with the heat? Era, Milim. It's been a while. You seem in a good mood today. Did something good happen? Does it show on my face? Look at this. She said, showing the dragon knuckles on her hands. Proudly laughing phew fun. Frey could only sigh to herself. Era, my. They suit you quite well. Where'd you get them? After deciding to praise her, Frey asked that question. While fidgeting in embarrassment, Milim said. Want to know? Should I tell you, should I? What should I do? And similar pointless lines. How annoying. Frey, who had known Milim for a while now, could only think that. Era, aren't we friends? You can tell me, can't you? Upon hearing these words, Milim's eyes opened wide. Right. We are friends. All right. I'll tell you. The thing is. And thus Frey heard from Milim about the monster's city. Constantly bragging and showing off the clothing she got. Frey could not hide her surprise at the sight of such a merry Milim. Once Milim finished telling the story once. Right. Milim, as friends, I have a present I want to give you. Will you accept it? Frey said, and beckoned her attendant. The attendant brought it in. Lying on a purple cloth, a beautiful jewel. And this beautiful jewel was embedded inside a stunning pendant. Any person who saw it would recognize its astounding value. This is the present? Is it okay for me to accept it? Even if I do, I won't be giving you the dragon knuckles. Milim said, with a wry smile. Don't worry, Milim. It's proof of our friendship. A friend's gift, as I said. Will you wear it for me? Frey said with a soft smile. I will. Milim exclaimed with a brilliant smile. Incantation, preparing demon marionette, success. At that moment, Milim's smiling face went rigid. Something flashed in her eyes, but her consciousness was already gone. The dragon knuckles slid right off her hands. Seeing this reaction, Frey sighed in relief. It's done, Clayman. Is this fine? She said to a dark, empty corner of the room. From where you'd think no one could be a single man emerged. Demon Lord Clayman. One called the Marionette Master. Kukuku. Well done, Frey. I have now acquired the strongest doll. Q-ha-ha-ha-ha-ha-ha. You've looked down on me as a young demon lord, but to have fallen for such a petty trick, how pitiful, Milim. With a sinister smile, Clayman struck Milim across the face. Her plump cheeks turned red and her lip split. Milim, who was normally clothed in many defense barriers, did not have much defense right now. A normal girl, no, even lower than a human, it's natural for her to be hurt by a demon lord's attack. Quahahaha. While loudly laughing, Clayman continued his onslaught. Shouldn't you stop now? Humph, it's not a spell that would disappear with a little damage. Considering her arrogant attitude, surely you've got a grudge or two against her. Isn't that why you agreed to this plan? No? If so, then don't hold back. She can't resist anymore. Well, she is pointlessly sturdy, and we can just keep healing her when she breaks. His eyes bloodshot, Clayman kicked Milim into the air. Contrary to Clayman, Frey was calmly observing. Hey, Clayman. You don't know, but Milim has an automatic defense mode, you see? We call it Rampage, where she uses abilities beyond her body's limit. So if you want to die, be my guest, but don't involve me in your side. Got it? Clayman regained his composure upon hearing these words. TCH. What a joke of a demon lord. What's with the oldest demon lord? Looking down on us. Whatever. If I use her, I can improve my standing among the demon lords. Frey, you're my accomplice. So don't go thinking you can betray me now. Era? Weren't we supposed to be equals? Fool. I'm the one who came up with the plan. You've already become one of my pieces. You don't want to die by Milim's hands right now, do you? Kahahaha. Now that I obtained Milim, you can't reject me any longer. Frey made an unpleasant face upon hearing his words. You are the Sky Queen, the ruler of the skies, no? You wish for Milim to disappear and I can make it happen. She agreed to the plan because of those words. As she somehow learned that Milim is weak to the word friend. I understand. Good. Just don't try to betray me. What, you aren't like Milim, I won't order you around. Just ask a few favors here and there. While continuing his laughter, Clayman said. Now, he has assembled 3 demon lords beneath him. A power that their council can no longer ignore. At the very least, he's far surpassed the other young demon lords. Milim and Frey. By controlling these 2, he could perhaps even force the others to follow. Then, even the old generation would come to fear him. He'll rule them all. After all, he's the marionette master. He'll lead them all under that name. The next one on the list is Demon Lord Carrion. After that, the next would be. Clayman was busy planning. Frey coldly observed this. On the floor, Milim's dragon knuckles emitted a faint light. But there was no light in Milim's eyes. The dragon knuckles glowed in vain. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 57, To Learn Magic. To Learn Magic. Kagurazaka Yuki was an open-hearted good guy. His age should be in the second half of the 20s, but his look is still like a high school student. I heard the reason, it was due to some kind of curse. When he comes to this world, it seems he didn't acquire any unique skill or unique abilities, only his physical abilities that grow abnormally. Well, I give up. Actually, I noticed something was strange after 5 years have passed. He says that while laughing and scratching his head. Thanks to that, I heard he never had a date with women before. Actually, he is a fellow who possesses a good impression. Well, is that so? That's disappointing. Ha ha ha. Eventually it'll turn better. I'm comforting him sincerely. By the way, Remura-san, are you a monster? But how could you pass the barrier of the association headquarters? I'm a monster. My true identity is slime. This trivia, please conceal it. No. That's not just a trivia. Not that. Why did you made such city for monsters? No, there are enough monsters to establish a city, is it unusual? No. Although from what I heard there's no other like. Is that so? That's right. We stare at each other for a while. Well, whatever. For now I decided to get along with the leader of association, Grand Master. It is to discourage the city's image as a suspicious monsters city. For now let's talk about the truth. Come to think about it, Shizu-san is aware of my true identity from the air I carry. I think she's an amazing person. Usually, there is no one that will think a person from another world would reincarnate as a slime. Actually, I'm a space alien. What are you trying to say? You? Rather, it's the first time I heard space alien since coming here. By any chance? Damn, I was exposed. So, my true identity is a mysterious hero that fights after doing transformation, form change. Kamen Racer. Pose. Or as close as I could do, TL, nice. How nostalgic. Kamen Racer, I was watching it too. So, as I thought, Rimuru-san you're a Japanese, right? Fufu. After I tell some material that only fellow countrymen could understand, it's a bullseye. In case he doesn't know the story, at that time I will think about something else. After that, we talk about various things together. Things that happen after coming to this world, Shizu-san's final moments. Living in this world, magic. The topics from the world on the other side. Such like endings and final episodes of manga and anime, he leans his body forward and really get into it. Master. From this point, please instruct me by all means. Ed, us? Haven't read 55 and 56, TL, sorry after checking the raw, it's me not us. Foo. It's difficult. The anime you really want to know is already completed. Of course, on those matters the great I won't make any mistakes, I will restrain on what should not be said. TL, should I write it as, I will not give unnecessary spoiler. It's a gentleman's etiquette. Haha. By all means, of course. His desperation comes out. In the middle of the conversation, the secretary Oni-san entered the room with tea. She opened her eyes in shock and almost dropped the tray. As expected, the prank has probably ended. Well, he can't read the continuation of his favorite manga, so it's natural for him to be interested. Among them, some had reached its conclusion, but most of them didn't advance that much. Some of them were interesting but some were awful. That's what I expected from him, Japanese world traveler that has knowledge after living in this world for 10 years. Of course, the serious talks begin now. The previous one is only casual talk. Rimuru-san, the reason you came to the royal capital, is not only to meet me your fellow countrymen, right? Is your goal to return? Return. I'm thinking about it. However, I gave up on it. Because I'm already dead. However, for young people such as them, returning might be their goal. Are you able to do that? Regarding this question, the response that comes was silence. It's not an easy thing to do. If it is an easy thing to do, they would already return a long time ago. I already thought that. It's like a one-way road. This world is like a half-material world. And, I understood the explanation he gives. It's simple, the previous world was a full material world, because there is no magic power on Earth. Spirits, demons, fairies, monsters can exist because there are magic power in this world. Therefore, you can easily go down, but it's impossible to climb up. Once your body became half material, you can't turn back easily into your full material body. However, there is a way. From the legend in the material world, Earth, about demon and devil, if some conditions are met, it is possible to travel between worlds. The talks had been finished. Well, it is what is called steps in a research. For that goal, I guess I would like to continue hearing the progression of the research. Well, if I'm able to live carefree, then that's enough. The town had been finished, and it's enjoyable to be together with my companion. To converse with fellow countrymen is one of the biggest reason I come to this royal capital. But there's actually another purpose besides it, and that's. The other purposes were to buy magic stones and inspecting the royal capital. To measure the degree of civilization, those visits are that important. However, the most important purpose I had not forgotten. That is, to learn magic. Well, there were several purposes. It's good to talk with you, after this I want to visit the library. When I said that, Ah, I see. So, it's magic, right? That sure is nice. I also want to learn some of it, however for some reason I can't use it. I think it might be because the change in my body's nature. Magic would be a man's special romance. This person, it seems that he is also the kind of person who understood a man's romance. As expected, since it exists he wants to be able to use it. I see. How long do you intend to stay at the royal capital? I had thought to stay for about 1 month. Now then, I wonder if I can learn magic by that time. If that's so, can't you stay for about 3 months? Hearing the explanation, it seems there is lack of school teacher in the royal capital. There is a lot of impertinent student, so it's impossible for the B-rank adventurer in the royal capital. When the new school term begins, the new A rank is scheduled to arrive and take up the position of the teacher. So, there is a need to entrust the position for 3 months until then. There is no reason to hurry, even if I may accept it somehow. While thinking about this, teacher's dormitory, 3 meals a day, and salary of 10 silver coins a day. Also, how about additional free pass to the Royal Capital Library? Of course, I will take it. You would do the same if I'm in trouble. Ha 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 ha. We shook each other's hand while smiling. I got a job at the Royal Capital. I bid farewell to Yuki, finishing the formalities in 1 day, and I was told to go to the dormitory tomorrow. The talk immediately ended. There were no problems either, and thus the move to the dormitory finished. Well, though I experienced the royal capital in service only for 1 night, the service there was quite satisfying. The 2 included meals are delicious. As expected, the seasoning is also used abundantly. Even thought the inn that I resided at is cheap. They also provide a large public bath. And it's wonderful too. In the country, it's seldom to see a local inn with bath service. However, if you want to stay for 3 months, living in the dormitory is more convenient. Thus the move to the dormitory is immediately finished. Even if I regret nothing, 4 silver coins a day is quite high. The salary of 10 silver coins will be given on the working days, there won't be any on holiday. Though it was expected for the royal capital to have high living expense, there is no problem to save money. But work is for tomorrow, today is for visiting the library. There is a restriction to enter the room with magic books. But when I present the adventurer identification card, I can enter the room without any problems. They seem to keep what they had promised to me when I take up the teacher job. Even though the library is located in the royal capital, it is not the royal library. The royal library is located inside the castle. As those are in royal family possession, only court magician can access it. In every country the library seems to hold the country's secret magic, so it was difficult for a foreigner to visit it. But it doesn't mean that this library worth is low. They are not. The library, where I stand now, exhibited the secret arts that the adventurers had collected. The ancient magic that the Freedom Association adventurers found is also collected at this place. It can be said that it is possible that this library had a worth that is equal to the other country's royal library. It's wonderful. Coming to this royal capital early like this is like being blessed with good fortune. Even though this is a favor from Yuki, surely it's mainly because of my good behavior. I immediately check the magic books. If you read it straight, the book's amount is such that it seems to be impossible to read all of them in someone's lifetime. To everyone in the world who studies diligently, forgive me. After apologizing in my heart, I read it quickly with great sage. For someone nearby who sees me, it seems to them that I only take a book in my hand for a while and then return them to the shelves. Actually, just by holding it in my hand, the book goes inside my body. So, I copy it completely. Simultaneous utilization of great sage and gluttony abilities, high-speed copy of the magic books that I hold in my hands. I am postponing checking the content of the book for a later time. Unfortunately, it is not possible to be able to use magic just by copying the books. But, taking and copying it, I'm able to make the index of the magic books I want. After this, it's necessary for me to study it one by one. For that reason, I took and copied the books one after another without seeing the title. Even with the copying speed, it's taking a whole day. I'm only able to take a 10th portion of all the books here. It seems for now on, I'm going to come to the library frequently in my break time and day off. Thus, my day off passed. However, there was no regret. For my goal to learn magic, it's just a trivial thing to do. Well, it's the first day of the job. Still, this is a bit difficult job. I understood that after experiencing it at the first day taking the position. Rather than a teacher, I became an instructor. Because there isn't anyone capable to fill the vacant position Shizu-san left. My job is to become the substitution. Yuki's jobs are not only as the leader of Freedom Association, Grand Master, but also to manage the Freedom Academy as its executive director. He was the chairman too. The person in question says that it's just an honorary position, but it's still an important position. After coming to this world for 10 years, he develops the Freedom Association, running an academy. In one sense, he is the representative of all the adventurers. This academy had also referred as an institution to nurture the association's member. Moreover, each class is separate just like in the association. Thus, they are divided just like how the association. However, the basic teaching is shared between classes. The position I take is the vacant homeroom teacher of the special class. Alias, S-class. But it seems the class's member is still at the age of elementary grade student. It says the former homeroom teacher is the demon teacher, Izawa Shizue. It's Shizu-san. She's the hero whose nickname is Explosive Monarch. So the teachers succeeding her pale in comparison to her. All previous teachers, being unable to handle the severe interaction with the students, ran away from the academy. When I was giving my greetings in the staff room, I was told that by the other teachers. No, even for someone who looks like a child, I think you still had trouble with those problem children. Even if you are a B-rank adventurer. Well, you had recommendation from the chairman, please quickly report if it seems impossible for you. The principal worries too much. They are just kids. Ha ha ha. Or so what I think. Chi-se. From this day, yours new homeroom teacher is, comma. In the place I stood and greeting them friendly, a flaming sword flying towards me. I become panicked and managed to avoid it. Ken-chan, cool. Is that a special move? You perfected it. However, it's still lacking. It should not be easily avoided. Noisy children. I will end up split and charred black if I didn't avoid it. EY, calm down will ya. The class will be destroyed if ya went to rampage. I retort in pseudo kansiben. I already want to gone home. This place is another world. If a teacher exhibit violence, will it be considered a corporal punishment? In front of me are 5 human children. This is a gathering of problem children. Alias, S-class. A special class that is composed only by world travelers. Yuki sheltered the children from every corner of the world. They are still kid of elementary grade student, but their abilities is terrifying high. Honestly, he is toying with me. I thought they were docile, but towards me they are staring with their eyes full with hostility. For 3 months after this, can I take care of these guys? The depressing feeling from a long time ago is coming back. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 58, The Summon Those Who Are Called Heroes. Translator's Corner, Cast, a French Pierrot, an English clown, and a receptionist. Receptionist, phone call. Good afternoon, you've reached Dr. Oda's office. How may I help you? Pierrot, oh, hello. I am currently doctor's patient. I have an appointment next week Thursday, at 11. Receptionist, yes, I found you on file. Would you like to confirm or reschedule? Pierrot, I would like to cancel. I will be switching doctors. Receptionist, I see, I'll let the doctor know. Clown, phone call. Hello? Receptionist, ah. I'm glad you've answered. We spoke just a few minutes ago about canceling the appointment. The doctor wants to have one last session with you so that we can properly dispose of the file. Clown, I see. Receptionist, could you come in tomorrow at noon? Clown, yes, of course. By the way. Receptionist, yes. Clown, have you heard? A famous surgeon went on a safari in Africa. When he came back, his colleagues asked him how it had been. "Oh, it was very disappointing," he said. "I didn't kill a thing. I'd have been better off staying here in the hospital." Receptionist, a joke, huh? Some notes: I finished the chapter with a headache, so expect errors. We now have a translator working on this project translating it into German. If you're following us, do expect to get those posts as well. I looked around trying to see if I could have them sent only to some people, but to no avail. We apologize for any inconvenience caused. Life in the royal capital. 058. The summoned those who are called heroes. The children directed a hostile gaze at me, filled with pure hatred. It made me feel really out of place. What in the world could cause them to harbor so much hostility towards a new instructor? 5 children. Misaki Kenya, male, 8 years old. Sekigakai Ryauta, male, 8 years old. Gail Gibson, male, 9 years old. Alice Rondo, female, 7 years old. Chloe Obel, female, 8 years old. None of them are older than 10. I look them over while confirming the notes I picked up in the staff room. They've been picked up from all over the world. Each one was called a monster. Each country has requested a subjugation for them, but the adventurers took custody of them instead. That's what the documents said, but something is bothering me. Why are their ages so similar? And, they've all been picked up in various circumstances from countries surrounding the Jura forest. Moreover, within 3 years of each other? There might be something going on. They seem to have grown very attached to Shizu-san. Other than her, they only listen to Yuki's words. Well, unless you see them for yourself you wouldn't know how mischievous this bunch really is. Yo, what's with the sudden aggression, brats? I, or Sama, will be your instructor from now on. The name's Rimuru. I'm not as nice as Shizu-san, so prepare yourselves. I thought to start with a greeting, but... Shut up. You won't deceive us. Right, right. Even if we listen, you'll just kill us anyways. What did you do with Shizu-san? Did you kill her too? Yeah, we won't trust an adult. You'll just dispose of us, saying that we're good for nothing, right? What's with their response? This is not at the level of classroom disruption. They are not just bratty, that's real killing intent right there. I mean, how did they even think that we're trying to kill them, or that we killed Shizu-san? There's something else at work here. That day, we couldn't continue the lesson. I don't know their circumstances, so I can't just force my will on them. So, that day ended with just a greeting. Ken-chan, are you okay? Stay away. That mask-wearing instructor, what the hell was that? Hey. Calm down, okay. I could hear them making noise beyond the door, but I paid it no mind. I only allowed another member to introduce themselves. Ranga, I mean. He's probably observing the class instead of me. How pleasant. But the kids who clearly lack the will to solve the problems he handed out, seem keen on playing around. So the fact that today's lesson became self-study is something I could not have prevented. So, leaving the rest to Ranga, I decided to visit Yuki. Inside the Freedom Association chief's room. Yuki and I are holding a discussion while sitting on the sofa. A pleasant aroma drifts from cup of tea before us. I continue the conversation. So, please tell me the kid's circumstances. I get straight to the point. Yuki looked me straight in the eye, and after thinking for a bit. Rimuru-san, let me ask you a question. How much do you know about Sakaguchi Hinata? What's that about? Did something happen between Hinata and the kids? Not much. She's a fellow Japanese. And that she remembers things quickly, so Shizu-san said. He nodded in response. In that case, how about the difference between summoned and world travelers? Now that he mentions it, I don't know much about them either. They are guaranteed to possess a unique skill. And, the summoning success rate is low. Also, they have a curse carved into their souls. I told him that much. Yes. That matches everything that we have learned about them. You know a lot, don't you? Anyways. Summoning requires very definite circumstances to be prepared as to allow you to summon a person with powerful abilities. Someone whose will is especially strong. Now then, what about summoning conducted under incomplete conditions? Yuki's following explanation made me feel sick. The success rate with 30 magicians chanting summoning magic over the period of 3 days is a less than 0.03%. Moreover, a magician who has used summoning magic cannot use it during a set interval. The rest period ranges from 33 to 88 years. Usually, the time is used to prepare the environment to better the chances of the summoning. Now, what would happen if you ignored these rules? If you do, there are less requirements to conduct the summoning and you can continuously summon. According to what Yuki said, summoning conducted thus usually results in children being summoned. Children with strong souls or abundant magic are forced over here, without being granted the ability befitting them. Without a unique skill, the abundant magical energy causes their bodies to implode. They are fried alive by the powers they possess. Wait a minute, then are those kids? At the moment, the record is 3 years. That is the lifespan of those improperly summoned. And, those kids have been summoned like that, failing to become heroes. Wha? Huh? Heroes? Why would? Were they forced into this by Sakaguchi Hinata? Yuki does not answer. However, his silence only confirms my suspicions. The church is seeking a new hope, a new power. The wish of all humans, light. Humanity's messiah, the hero. I have secretly investigated many facilities and broke the children out. What the hell? I have not found a way to prevent their deaths. Children under the age of 10 are no exception. If they do not possess a unique skill, they will surely die. Aren't the summoners bothered by the loss? Aren't these failures dissuading them or something? They calmly summon more and more. Since they can just continue doing so, they don't care. That's probably what they are thinking. Are you kidding me? Why have you allowed the church to continue existing? The church, the Western Saints' Church if influential. Surrounding the Jura forest, other than the heretic country Sarian, every country is a devout follower of the church. Do you understand? That's not a power we can defeat even with the government's support. There's also believers among my associates. If we make the church our enemy, the association would fight with itself. Yuki said, his expression pained and powerless. Nor could I add anything. To think that those lively kids will. And that's why they met me with hostility and hatred. Hey. Why did you have me meet the kids? Why did you tell me all this? Why, indeed? Maybe I wanted to see if you could come up with a way to save them. I don't have anyone in the world I could rely upon. I've already lost Shizu-san. If you hadn't noticed, I wouldn't have told you anything. So why did you notice? Damn it. If I hadn't noticed, I could have sent them on their way merrily. Now that I have, how can I be merry? What a bad joke. Isn't it dangerous to have the school so close to a church? Foo-foo. On the contrary, it's the safest place. You've heard the expression, it's darkest under the lamppost? So, what will you do? Will you quit? I looked Yuki straight in the eye. And loudly declared. I will not quit, and will proceed as I wish from now on. Any complaints? Yuki nodded. And? I leave them to you. If you can, please save those children. He said, lowering his head. No need to tell me. That's another task Shizu-san had left behind. I'll see it through. And, chances are, this whole conversation was planned by Shizu-san ahead of time. Just a stray thought. I leave the Freedom Association building and return to the classroom. Now. Can't greet them with a gloomy face. I'll do what I can. That's all I've been doing thus far. Shizu-san depended on me. Yuki asked this of me, all I can do is to answer their hopes. That was the worst day in history for the Beast Kingdom Uricha. Demon Lord Carrion nervously looked into the skies above. A huge lump of magical energy was rapidly approaching. Without even trying to hide her aura, Demon Lord Milim Hey, is this for real? She's clearly intent on fighting and aiming for this country. A fight with a serious Milim Nava. I guess this could also be called an opportunity. Carrion did not believe himself to be superior, in fact, he thought Milim to be stronger. However, it's more fun winning against a stronger opponent. His blood boiled and his heart beat happily. The strongest, Demon Lord Milim. A senior Demon Lord, unlike her appearance, she deserves the awe. He could face that Demon Lord. To say he was excited would be an understatement. He had once asked his parents when he was but a child about the tyranny of the Dragon Princess. Was that fairy tale based on Milim or some other model? This is what his parents said. A Dragon Princess's anger can erase a country. Never fight against a Dragon Princess. What rubbish. Though the military of the Beast Kingdom US area is not particularly large, half of its population belong to a warrior race. By no means inferior to any other country. Moreover, he himself had evolved into a demon lord. There was no one he had to fear. He headed to the sacred mountain behind the castle, and, while preparing himself, he planned to ambush Milim there. His followers, devils and retainers, knelt before him, waiting for instructions. Listen. We only have one foe. Demon Lord Milim Nava. Against a demon lord, if you devils fight together, you can put up a proper fight. But I will go myself. As for you, erect a barrier and protect the people. Believe me, I shall win. Hearing their battle cry, he could feel their excitement. Today, he had the chance to prove himself the strongest. I didn't hate her personality. We could have become good friends, what a shame. At this point, her reasons did not matter. For him, only the fight mattered. Not that his prudence would have changed the outcome in the slightest. Slowly, he rose to the skies using flight magic. Reaching Milim, he began the fight without a word. First, a quick test. Punch her with all his power. However, her body covered in many defensive barriers, the attack did not reach her. He summoned the Hyako Seiryu Lance, and felt his strength grow exponentially. Letting out a small breath, he combined his fighting spirit with his aura, and released an onslaught of slashes at Milim. Each slash was followed by an air bullet which violently assaulted Milim. However, though the bullets have broken through a number of barriers, they were unable to hurt her body. Moreover, each of the slashes was caught by her demon sword Evil God. It didn't suit her at all, that long, curved, single-edged blade. The sword was dyed in a pale blue light. How many demon lords has this famous sword slain? TCH. Carrion distanced himself from Milim and regained his posture. He had not looked down on her at all, but she far surpassed his expectations. He had not used every ounce of his power, but Milim also seemed bottomless. Nor was she an opponent he could fight conflicted. He decided to go all out. Unfortunately, she seemed barely unconscious, as if she was being controlled by someone. That, however, didn't matter to Carrion. I had wanted to fight the real you, not some puppet. But, even so, I will not lose. He unleashed his abilities. Began assuming first his devil, then his demon lord form. He is, after all, known as the Beast King, a lion lycanthrope. Thus, he began transforming into a beast devil. And thus his true form, Demon Lord Lion King Carrion, had appeared. Covered in a silver fur, his muscles bulged. On his lion head a vermilion bird crown shone bright. And that body was clad in black tortoise armor. The neighboring countries all specialized in warfare. So, for the sake of fighting for the dominance of the skies, large eagle-like wings were attached to his back. Seeing that appearance, a small light briefly flashed in Milim's eyes, and Carrion had not missed it. Or maybe he had only imagined it. Now, then, Milim. It's a shame, but now that you have seen this appearance, I'll have you permanently disappear, okay? It's a shame, but goodbye. He screamed, and concentrated all his fighting spirit into the Hyako Seiryu lance. If they had been on the ground, the earth would split from the force of his power and his surroundings would grind into dust. Not that the air remained unaffected. The energy he had emitted set the air itself on fire. Beast roar. This roar releases one's magical energy at the opponent. All his energy was focused on the tip of the lance, yet it remained undamaged. Had he fired it on the ground, everything in the direction of the attack would be inadvertently erased. It is Beast King Carrion's sure kill technique. Normally, its power would not wane in the slightest for the first 100 meters. And, the actual range of the attack could go well past 2 kilometers. Thus, the long range makes this a skill that is best used against multiple opponents, but it can be regulated to be concentrated on a single one. This would be the first time he will use Beast Roar against a single opponent, but he could hardly imagine anyone being able to withstand it. He will go all out. Magical energy rapidly escaped his body. He could hardly sustain the flight magic. However, that was a small price to pay for this attack. Normally, he'd have to use it 2 or 3 times to become this tired, but, today he couldn't be so reserved. His opponent was covered in many high-level barriers. Taking a deep, and while falling towards the ground. Zuzza. He dodged the return fire. Blood trickled down from his back, but he closed the wound with spirit alone. He looked up at her. However, he didn't want to see her, nor believe that such a thing could be possible. A being who has so far exceeded his expectations. Dragon wings spread wide, her blonde hair fluttered in the wind. And, though it was not there before, a beautiful crimson horn now adorned her forehead. Her light gothic dress has changed into jet black armor. Ah, so this would be her real battle attire, huh? Though Carrion was now exhausted, his opponent was unhurt. What a joke. Cut me some slack. He was now experiencing a bizarre feeling, wanting to cry and laugh at the same time. Well done. That was fun. As thanks, I'll show you this. Milim spoke for the first time. However, it was a monotone voice devoid of her personality. Carrion nonetheless felt impending doom from her words. I don't want you to show me anything. He screamed in his heart. Using thought transmission he conveyed an order to his subordinates. One word, run. And, with the remainder of his strength, he ran as fast as he could. He felt it deep in his bones, if he stayed, he would die. The dragon's pupils dilated, and she stretched her wings. Milim roared. Dragon Nova. Its brightness easily surpassed that of the stars. The bright pellets that rained upon the earth erased not just the castle, but the mountain behind it. The sound of destruction far surpassed the audible range of one's ears, so the shockwave heralded it instead. Those touched by the light disappeared without being able to offer any resistance. The strongest magic. And one of the reasons that Milim has for so long reigned supreme. Impossible. Luckily, Carrion was able to escape receiving a direct hit, so he survived. But that is Milim. A demon lord you should never fight against. Nicknamed destruction itself. Now, Carrion agreed with his parents' words. You can't fight against that. It's dimension different from everyone else. However. But, she. Era? What could possibly be wrong? Would you enlighten me? He felt a blade press against his neck. And the presence of a single woman. The supreme ruler of the skies, Sky Queen Frey. TCH. Frey, you too. Era? What about me? You'll have lots of time to tell me. And so, Carrion consciousness faded into darkness. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 59, The Church Moved. Translator's Corner, Cast, Smoggy the Bear, Yuuka and Random Passerby. Smoggy, NENE, Yuuka-san, has running races between friends became a trend amongst humans lately? Yuuka, has it? I don't think so, why? Smoggy, whether I visit the local fish markets, I always see the humans running the other direction, screaming. What's the point? We can't outrun that thing. As long as I can outrun you, I'm fine. While pointing at me. Any idea why? Yuuka, who knows, they did the same thing when I was at the hospital the other day. Smoggy, want to try running alongside them someday? Yuuka, sure, why not? Several days later. Smoggy, Yuuka-san, are you seeing this? Psychopath and beast running amok at fish market, causing mass panic. We were there the other day, thank God we didn't run into them. By the way, the psychopath in the picture kinda looks like you. Yuki, no idea. Life in the royal capital. Chapter 59, The Church Moved. The devil Grusius was patrolling around the forest when a sudden incoming telepathic communication confused him. Is something wrong? Several of his teammates from the frontier garrison who were worried about him asked him simultaneously. These good-hearted fellows, not doubting that I'm a devil. Unaware about it himself, Grusius sees the illusion of real companions in them. Nothing, I'm fine. I replied thus, and they were relieved. Nothing's wrong whatsoever, that's outrageous. I am now receiving the contents of the telepathic communication. Grusius. It's an emergency. When the time comes, act in accordance to your judgment. We are currently at war. I'll contact you again when we win. Until then, you're free. There's no doubt, something's happening. This is the first time I've heard panic in Demon Carrion's voice. Just who is his opponent? It was irritating and I can't think of anything. What should I do? He told me to make my own decisions, but I can't think of any measures. After that I tried to telepathically communicate just in case, but nothing came out of it. Grusius's heart was gradually filled with anxiety while paying attention in order to prevent his teammates from realizing his unrest. The face of Demon Lord Clayman was filled joy after receiving the report. Carrion was the one who tried to persuade Milim, but it somehow ended up as a battle. That's good. Indeed, there are few demon lords that will still be merciful after being annoyed. According to the report, Milim triumphed over Carrion with overwhelming combat prowess, and even blew away the royal castle, Morotomo. Rapporteur Frey said so while elegantly drinking tea. The other devils apart from Frey, who were spies, all reported the same thing. There's no doubt. Demon Lord Carrion is dead. Even a strong demon lord such as Carrion was no problem if you have absolute power, Milim Nava, in your hands. The 10 great demon lords who ruled over Makai. Among them, 3 individuals including myself grouped as one, now, 1 member has disappeared. Moreover, to have tried to threaten the absolute strongest, the last moments of the demon lord Carrion will be good publicity. Kukyuku, everything is going on smoothly, just as planned. Era? Is that so? I am glad that I was of use. Frey stood up and gave words of agreement without having ulterior motives. I'll be going back, but what about Milim? From the looks of the battle, any devil trying to settle the matter will be ripped to shreds? Tisk. With a frown on her face, Frey looked at Clayman. It will probably be fine for you to take care of it. After all, you and her are friends, right? I entrust it to you, please accept it. If my castle is destroyed, I wouldn't be able to bear it. Hearing such words, Frey goes yatter while shaking her head. Even though I don't want my house to be destroyed. Well, it's useless no matter what I say, right? It's great you understand. You may go. That attitude shows that he doesn't even treat Frey as an equal anymore, but rather a subordinate under his rule. Frey didn't show any signs of discomfort in her expression, she sent a piercing gaze at Clayman and left. A smile appeared on Clayman's face after making sure that Frey left. Everything is going well. Everything is going according to the plan of that person. Unlike a prophecy, things don't always go as predicted, but progress is smoothly made. In the original plan, the Orc Lord was designated as the new Demon Lord. The reason for backing this plan was in order to manipulate the said Demon Lord. Since our interest met, we both decided to work together. Even if the plan fails, there are no losses. But then, a suspicious monster appeared, and it created a monster town. As soon as this was known, the plan was modified to utilize the town. To use our common interest as bait, using the monsters in that town as bait. The bait was bit, and luckily the one who bit it was the strongest demon lord. Clayman started his plan, first, by intercepting a multi-layered barrier. Then, as usual, he carries out his periodic report. A trustworthy partner. He has sworn his allegiance to the true master. Ever since Myolan joined the frontier garrison, every day was an extremely busy day. Just because she took up the duty of a shaman, doesn't mean she'd be any less busy. Sometimes an individual curious about the dark arts would come along, and she would teach them. If they were simple curses, she could teach them. Before she became a devil, she was originally a witch. Teaching curses used by humans is a simple task. What she was busy with was as a staff officer, another one of her positions. In the first place, asking a newcomer to take up the position as the staff officer is not a good idea. To put trust in a devil, these people are overly good-natured. That's probably the impression she had if she were to put it in words. Giving commands for the platoon to meet up in the monster's city, and reporting to the captain. She's been handling all that. To think of her as irresponsible is virtually impossible. Even so, in the midst of all the discomfort, there were also a lot of thoughts. After interacting with people for a while, long-forgotten feelings started to resurface. And, Myolin, is it fine? Please tell me your response soon. Said by a man courting her, she looked back at Yumu. From the start, I felt his gaze when I infiltrated the frontier garrison. I was on alert whether we were discovered, but Grusius said he didn't feel anything. What is happening? When I was thinking about that, Yumu gazed over here. When our eyes met, he looked away in embarrassment. But recently, not only his attitude but even his words contain hints of courtship. He said, "I love you. Please date me. You will definitely be happy, I promise." Ed, that's not a hint. He threw a straight ball. Even though he usually has a frivolous attitude, he was actually serious. He hasn't made any moves until now. The times when I was just a young girl, which would have been 700 years ago. I can't remember much from back then. I don't have any memories of interacting with other people. To be honest, the experience called love is something that girl has no experience with whatsoever. There was more joy than anxiety. Moreover, he said he promises happiness. Even though my heart is held in the hands of Clayman. I can't, no it can't. Besides, how could a human fall in love with me? In the end, she postponed the reply. I refuse. Her reasons tell her so, but for some reason she couldn't muster the courage to say it. She's been a devil for 400 years, but this is the first time she felt such insecurity. In such a state, Myolin was contacted by Clayman. For the devil Myolin, Clayman isn't the target of her loyalty. If it's possible she wouldn't hesitate to pull off a dirty trick. However, against that sly demon lord, such a chance will probably never appear. The last time she reported, she remembered that Clayman was in a strangely good mood, and felt uncomfortable. He probably came up with something devious, she thought. Unfortunately, she has no countermeasures. It's not something she can openly go up against. Even if someone is feeling unhappy, there is no way for them to save themselves. Having unpleasant feelings about this is natural. And suddenly she received contact. You appear healthy. Thanks to the information you bought, everything is going smoothly here. Good job. Even though I have been keeping your heart for you, I think I might return it soon. A sudden offer. Myolin suddenly felt exhilarated. But panicking wouldn't do. Her opponent is a demon lord. To even trick those working under him without shame, he is certainly the wicked marionette master. Wow. Thank you very much. That would be the safe answer. There's no need for you to be cautious. What? I just have one last thing I want you to do. Until then, keep enjoying your leisurely life. Now then, see ya. She was spoken to without being able to reply, and the connection was cut. Is this a trap? There's no way to confirm it. Doing what she has done so far, she simply followed orders. However, if I really was released, I wonder would I have accepted him? With an uneasy feeling in her chest, Myolin resumed and acted as if nothing has happened. Sakaguchi Hinata awakened from her light nap in a sleepy state. Diligently serving her, Nicholas had brought her a cup of coffee. Oh, have you awakened? Cardinal Nicholas Spertus. He is the man who sits at the pinnacle of the Western religion, the sacred, inviolable, confidant Pope of the Holy Kingdom Rubrios. To Hinata, that man is as faithful as a tamed puppy. They shared a bed yesterday, and even allowed him to be her companion overnight. Without getting tired, she looked at him who licked her body clean. TN note, that's what the translations are saying. It's turning into an arrow novel. Really, just like a dog. That was what Hinata though. He worships Hinata, as if she was a goddess or a saint. An idiotic man, Hinata though. Even I would excrete after I eat. After a year, it's natural for me to age. It's not like my body would remain beautiful forever. All this man is looking at is a mere fantasy. He desires her body. It's cheap. Even though I don't think this body is worth that much, he can do whatever he wants with it. To her, her body is merely a mean of winning somebody other. There are no other values. Of course, that girl also has carnal desires. She's not sexually frigid. Even so, what then? Only a few men I like is allowed to do as they wish to my body. However, men I hate will not be forgiven if they do the same. That means, in the end, I don't dislike Nicholas, is that it? The reality is that people around her can't understand her. Now, breakfast is ready. What would you like to eat? Sweets were suddenly brought forth. Nicholas, preparing and carrying out breakfast for someone else, that is something nobody could possibly imagine. Because anybody who knew Nicholas would describe him as an arrogant, egotistical, cold-blooded man with the mask of a saint. Ah, I got it. Thank you. When Hinata calls out casually, Nicholas nods his head with glee. And the two had breakfast. After a long time, the meal tasted delicious. Oh yes. I had something to report to you. This is something a spy brought earlier. After finishing their meal and being relaxed, Nicholas talked to Hinata. It can't be helped if he want to gain her favor. Hinata, while combing her prized black hair left and right with her comb, stared at Nicholas. Picking up her circular glasses off the table and putting them on. Let's hear it. She asked briefly. Inside there is the beauty amongst beauties who held was the captain of the Knights Guard division working directly under the Pope. On her the usual calm, cold expression. The time to relax has come to an end. Nicholas began sharing his information. About the turbulence of the monsters within the Great Jura Forest, and the monsters building a town. In addition, certain countries had already started trading with the monsters, that was what information were shared. What did you say? These monsters overturned the church's religious belief that monsters are common enemies of mankind. Hinata mutters, to which Nicholas nods. That's right, what will you do? Famu. That's right. Hinata is in deep though. Crushing them is easy. However, it is human nature to leave them alone if there are no problems. At the very least, as long as they are crushed before they make contact with humans, everything will be over. We can only wait and see now. However, investigate the war potential of that town, and ensure this is a force we can crush. As the church, we cannot move unless there is a request from somewhere. Well, if nothing turns up we can simply force one out. TN note, I've already lost count how many fantasy novels have a human supremacy religion as their main antagonist. Thus a conclusion was made. After hearing this remark, Nicholas nodded. Let someone check it out. We'll mobilize the Blood Shadow of the church. The Blood Shadow is a fallen knight. With high combat prowess, he was a serial killer who murdered commoners. To God, the church, and Pope, there are a number of extremists who sworn allegiance. However, his abilities are top-notch, not someone the church could just simply dispose of. To Hinata, who had a strong sense of disgust, the head is a funny existence. For the rationalist Hinata, God's blind acceptance was a symbol of stupidity. It was ironic considering Hinata's position as God's guardian of justice. Is that so? Then, I'm leaving it to you. It's best if you don't forget about the church's discipline. This isn't the stage to take action. I leave the information gathering to you. Besides, there might be something to gain from this. That's what she decided. As a result, the bloodthirsty Medhound was released. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 60, a bit sudden, but let's have a test. Translator's Corner, cast, an English clown, a French PRO, and Dr. Oda. Oda, come right in. You've got another good joke to tell? Clown, yes. A phone rings in a reanimation room. Excuse me, is John still alive? Still not. Oda, ha ha ha. Clown, for what reason have you called us in today, doctor? Oda, since you said you'd like to receive further treatment from somebody else, I wanted to talk to you one more time and compile a proper report. PRO, then what's holding you? We aren't getting any younger. Oda, let's start with an easy question. What is the date? Clown, October 5th, 20XX. Oda, on what street is this office located? Clown, Karasuma Sanjo Agari. Oda, what year were you born in? PRO, 1 second, I'm getting a headache. Oda, focus, please. Clown, 1993, I think. Oda, how many people are in this room? Clown, 3. Oda, name them. PRO, the clown, I, PRO, and you, Dr. Oda. Oda, are those names? Clown, what do you mean? Oda, names are composed of a first name and your family name. My name, for example, is Oda Tara. What is your name? PRO, this headache is killing me. Oda, what is your name? Clown, Ka. Clown. Oda, sorry, that question must have been hard, so let's skip it. I have just one more. What do you wish to do to Miyagakai Yajiro? Clown and PRO, kill him. Oda, security. She is clearly deranged. We must immediately isolate her from the public. Life in the royal capital. 060. A bit sudden, but let's have a test. The inside of the classroom was silent. So silent, in fact, that you can hear the students swallow saliva. Ranga ran up to me while waving his tail. All right, kids, have you been working hard? Though I faced them with a bright smile, they did not return it. Of course, if I consider things from their perspective, it makes more sense, they just might think of me as just some bastard to kill. However, this world follows the survival of the fittest principle. There's only one thing you can hate, your own weakness. Okay. Kids, you seem to have things to say, so let's have a test. I so declared. Wadash. How did it turn into that? AT test. UEE. They responded with loud criticism. Yep. Tests are hated in just about every world. Hey, don't worry. It's not like I don't get what you're saying. But listen. What will happen from now on is absolutely necessary for you. Why? We'll just kick the bucket sooner or later. There's no point to studying, is there? Alright, all the teachers until now have been bringing us toys or picture books telling us to have fun. We haven't studied from the moment we have come here. I want to read more picture books. All they do is complain. However, they lack yesterday's vigor. Did they tire themselves out picking on Ranga? Well, I guess the fact that they even responded to my words is admirable enough. But, this is necessary to them. Unfortunately, I cannot compromise on this. Alright. I understand your point. But, the test, game, that we'll play from now on will help you kids, you brats get to vent some anger. It should be fun. In a second, you will have a mock battle with me. The rules are simple. You can go all out and use anything you want. Should you bring me down, you win. If I am still on the run after 20 minutes, I win. Simple. Just that. Yeah. We'll have the test inside this room. I'll erect a barrier, so no one can get out. Those observing also cannot help. Do you understand the rules? If you do, then decide who goes first. A simple mock battle. I am not planning on attacking at all. I just want to verify their abilities. If they are incapable of acquiring a unique skill, I wouldn't know of another method to consume the terrible power in their bodies. According to my analysis, their magical energy, as compared to monsters, would have them A ranked at least. Though adventurers rely on fighting strength to decide their ranks, monsters tend to judge by power alone. I was at first surprised to see B-rank adventurers whose magical energy is hardly C-ranked. I only learned of this after having become an adventurer myself. Normal monsters do not concern themselves with skill proficiency, so they were usually evaluated based only on raw abilities. Of course, there are plenty of monsters that do hone their skills. So generally speaking, these kids are A-ranked. If they can properly use their abilities, they should be formidable opponents. They finally decided the order. With an eager face, Misaki Kenya is coming at me. He's just an 8-year-old troublemaker. Is he the leader of these brats? Hey. I can use the sword, right? Impudent little. Go ahead. And brat, when you lose, I'll have you address me politely from then on. Humph. I won't lose to a lousy adult. I've only lost against Shizu-san. How about you leave the self-praise for after you win? Thus we were ready for the match. I'll have the children keep time. I acquired a sand watch the other day, and showed the kids how to use it. Now then, shall we start? Begin. Kenya moved on Alice's command. He moves well for an elementary school student. Actually, he's defeated adults before. Not that it'll have any effect on me. Go for it, Ken-chan. Don't lose. Hearing their encouragement, Kenya redoubled his efforts. He desperately tried to land a hit on me, but I avoided them with room to spare, without a need to predict. After 10 minutes, with tears in his eyes, he started shooting fire at me. Humph. What a pathetic flame that was. It would be hard to compare it to the flame I use, so I'll just say that the flame was really weak. An A-rank monster, using all his strength to create a fireball, can easily surpass a temperature of 1000 degrees. But this is even weaker than Ellen's fireball attack. Inferior to magic used by a B-rank adventurer. He definitely learned it by watching, so this would be poor representation of his real abilities, right? Hey, you're focusing too much on the flame. Try shooting out a ball of pure energy. Shut up. Shizu-san used this skill, and it was powerful. I won't listen to what the likes of you have to say. What an arrogant brat. In the end, he ignored my advice, and, when the 20th minute passed, I was declared the victor. Alright, that's enough. Address me properly as sensei from now on. Who's next? Come at me. Dropping his shoulders, and visibly depressed, Kenya rejoined the kids. Well, I'd be in for a shock if I had lost to a brat who hadn't even turned 10. Next one up was Chloe Obel. An 8-year-old girl with a rare hair color. It was black with silver mixed. Ever seen anything like it? Anyways, she was a beautiful girl with an interesting hair color. I wonder if she's part Japanese? She has this Eastern-Western vibe. So, shall we begin? If looked from afar, people would see a middle school kid bullying a little girl. Even so, this test is crucial. I'm acting all cool and all, but if I really lose, what a bad joke that would be. Kuraki, don't push yourself. Don't hurt yourself, Kuro-chan. TL note, Chloe in Japanese is written Kuro, hence the nickname Kuro. Most of the kids said, don't hurt yourself, rather than do your best. I guess that's just how it is. The signal was already given, and the match had begun. Though there was a 5-minute intermission, I chose not to take a break. Even so, I was not tired in the slightest. All I've been doing is dodging, so it was an easy win. Now, Chloe, what kind of attack will she show me? I wonder if she just likes books, but she's got one on her right now. Is that it? Is she planning on hitting my head with it or throwing it at me? Will she suddenly say, this is not a book, it's a blunt weapon? Nah, probably not. While I was thinking this foolishness, in an eternal flowing stream, bind my foe, water prison. Uo. Suddenly, water appeared at my feet. According to heat perception, it's real water. Magic. What an amazing child. Let me guess, a genius? While I was feeling impressed, the water continued to rage and enveloped me in a bubble. When I tried poking it, it stretched out a bit. I wonder if she is fixated on accelerating this skill, making it something akin to my water blade. Wonderful. But, what will she do now? This magic's next step is to fill the bubble with water. If you accept defeat, I will let you go. If you don't, you will die. So young but so dreadful. Kenya was so much cuter in comparison. But a skill of this level, yeah. Yup, that's some amazing magic. But it won't have any effect on me. But this magic is superior. Make sure to continue practicing later, I said, while stroking her head. Prison? That kind of thing is pointless in the face of cloning. Frankly, that skill is the strongest among extra skills. It's so amazing that it is nearly a unique skill. Besides, to me who has various resistances against temperature attacks, her attack is pointless. And I've had that resistance since I was born. Chloe sat down in shock. Her face red, with tears falling from her eyes. Forgive me, I'm not pulling any punches here. To you brats who looked down on me I have to show an overwhelming difference in strength. Chloe lost her will to fight, so I won. Chloe was touching the spot on her head that I stroked earlier while smiling for some reason. Let's continue. The next opponent was Gail Gibson. The oldest among them, 9 years old. Brown hair and a large build with well-defined features. Definitely a pretty boy. When he grows up, his looks won't lose even against famous actors. Let's crush him. Of course I had no such thought. I am an adult, so I'll be a fair opponent. Gail, without a trick or tactic in mind, fired a single shot at me. After watching the other two's attempt, he probably re-evaluated me a bit. He fired a round that would certainly kill any other teacher. Without a question, he put every ounce of his power into that shot. That was a good decision. But, unfortunately, to a wrong opponent. That kind of attack could never reach me. As when it did, gluttony absorbed it. What was that? That's cheating. Yes. Yes it is. I completely agree. Listen up, adults are cheaters. We'll win no matter what trick we have to use. That's the kind of beings adults are. Thought that might have been a little immature of me to use against a child, it's not the time to be picking methods. I mean, I could have just repelled it, but I felt that there was a chance it would create a hole in the barrier. And though I was given free rein over them, I shouldn't go around destroying the classroom. So, I chose the method that would prevent any possible casualty. In the end, even this was troublesome. Gale, embittered by this, gathered energy into his fists and attacked me. What a child. At this point, he has no chance of victory. He ended up just as Kenya did, and so it was my victory. Sekigakai Ryota is a timid child. Always friendly with Kenya, supporting him from behind. Claimed to be the strong Kenya's partner. There's no special meaning attached to that, they are just being kids. But, as for his power. Ryota, avenge me. The moment he heard these words, his eye color changed. This ability is similar to Shin's Battle Maniac. His speed and power more than doubled. And, his magic energy and fighting spirit enveloped his body. What a wonderful example of battle transformation. The only minus would be the fact that he is unconscious. And it's a great demerit at that, to lose one's composure in the midst of battle. Its effectiveness depends on the opponent. I mean, maybe Battle Maniac is a common skill, but against high-level opponents it's not even a gamble. You are certain to lose. His movements are good, so maybe if his opponent wasn't me, he could put up a fight. But, too bad. I easily evaded him for 20 minutes. The last one was the girl Alice Rondo. The youngest, 7 years old. Her hair blonde and straight, reaching to her shoulders. With a face that could be described to belong to a doll, she is certainly a beauty. Unlike the adult like Chloe, she is, apparently, a tomboy. Now, what kind of ability will she show me? Alice threw the doll she held in her hands in the air, and... Go Bear-san! She called out. Huh? While I was thinking that, a bear suddenly started attacking me. And its attacks were pretty strong. Her power is called Golem Master. If this is the power she can draw out from some stuffed animal, what kind of beast will she call forth from a specialized weapon doll? Her power just might be strongest among the 5. Well, I was able to keep running the whole time, so no problem. I hadn't expected the strongest power to be saved for last, so I'm glad I was able to save face. When she summoned 10 of them, I almost snapped and burned the whole place to the ground. But I held it in and focused on running away. I thought that if I burned them I'd have to console her afterwards. Anyways, thus the 5 have come to know my power. The abilities they possess are as described. There's a great mismatch between what you'd expect from them and what actually is there. Why have their skills developed in such weird ways, you might ask? Probably, these are the skills that they have desired from the bottom of their hearts. So, my only choices are either to have them acquire a unique skill or search for some other method. Within the next 3 months, their powers will go wild, causing their bodies to collapse. A drastic measure, but I was able to confirm their status. And I found that using all of one's power is the best method to stall the collapse. Each time they release the excess energy, they extend the deadline by a little bit. Now, as for the actual treatment. Now, as this test has shown you, I'm strong. And this strong I will promise you, I will save you. I swear on this mask, I will find a solution. So I declared to the children. They all diligently listened to my words. First, I was successful at getting their attention. After all, if you don't put your mind to it, you aren't actually listening. Somehow, perhaps they just feel obligated, I got them to listen. Is that mask, Shizu-sensei's? Suddenly, Alice timidly asked. It is. Shizu-san entrusted it to me. And, other than entrusting the mask to me, she entrusted you bunch as well. So I answered. Though the mask's appearance has changed slightly, she was able to notice. She nodded with satisfaction at my response. Seems like some of her worries were dispelled. However, now that she mentioned the mask, some memory appeared in my mind. What Shizu-san left me? It was to hit Demon Lord Leon. But could Shizu-san have planned to defeat a Demon Lord? Wait a second. Shizu-san came over here when she was 10, right? So why did he save her? Let's think about it. Though I don't know the details, I feel like there's a hint buried in these memories. Besides, it seems strange that Shizu-san would just abandon the kids to pursue her own goals. Perhaps punching Leon and saving the kids was one and the same task? In that case, Demon Lord Leon must known of a way to save the kids. He had saved her once before, after all. In that case, what is the method? Along with Great Sage, we're busy considering these things. And, as always, Great Sage did not fail my expectations. Had Demon Lord Leon saved Shizu-san intentionally or by accident? The answer. Solution. The chance that Demon Lord Leon saved Izuwa Shizue intentionally is about 74%. However, this percentage is a mere prediction, and is thus meaningless. Also, regarding the way to save the children. I was not mistaken. Listen up, I will absolutely save you. We'll prepare for this starting tomorrow. Believe in me. I will not let you, whom Shizu-san entrusted to me, die. Unlike my previous words, this time I was confident. The children, likewise, responded seriously. Please, Sensei. Sensei, huh. What a pleasant word. Leave it to me. Now, for the first time, I approved of the children. I will save them. So I swore to myself. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible.